Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Shekhar Pandey, a cardiologist at Cambridge Cardiac Care Centre that brings you Healthy Heart Day. I would like to welcome you to the 17th annual Healthy Heart Day. Yep, we've been doing this for 17 years and nothing has gotten in the way. That is certainly something to be celebrated. This free community outreach event brings a diverse set of people together, not only from our local Cambridge region, but from all over Southwest Ontario. We are thrilled to be on Rogers TV and live streaming online. This has given us the opportunity to connect and share with people from coast to coast, across Canada and the US and around the world. I applaud the fact that you are here, listening, absorbing, inquiring. For the group in Victoria, BC, who are up at 6 a.m., to the group in Asia and Australia who are staying up late at night, we thank you for joining us. Every year we change our focus, addressing many of the issues facing cardiac patients and those who are at risk for heart disease, which unfortunately is most of us. This year, one health concern has overwhelmed all others: the COVID-19 pandemic. While we all learn to cope with this viral illness, we know that heart disease progresses in the background if unattended. Our expert panel will share their knowledge and speak to you, to all of the issues affecting us, making a multidisciplinary, holistic approach to heart health. So much of what we impart to our Healthy Heart Day audience is applicable to everyone, young and old, because it's never too early or too late to get informed and develop healthy heart habits. After all, if we can prevent just one person from having their first cardiac event even years from now, we've done our job. So we encourage you, grab your coffee, grab your loved one by the arm, and join us. Our stellar array of speakers this year includes Dr. Peter Lynn, who will address the current state of the COVID-19 pandemic. He will discuss the safety and efficacy of the various COVID-19 vaccines and how these life-saving vaccines were developed so quickly. He will also discuss the impact this pandemic and its various phases of lockdown have had on our lifestyle and the epidemic of obesity and how we can overcome this. Next up, we will get you up and get going and doing some aerobic exercises with Cindy Catton, owner and operator of Citrus Root Personal Training. I will then be talking to you about how we can best manage heart disease, the leading cause of death and disability worldwide, even in the midst of pandemics. Cindy will return to do some stretching and strength training to help us get a better sense of wellness. We will end the day with some motivational coaching with Boris, Cherniak, an award-winning comedian, hypnotist, and motivational speaker. Wow, what a lineup. I encourage you, make the event personal. Take a moment, set some SMART goals for yourself and write them down. Your goals should be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. Leave with a positive, renewed commitment to your health. This is one thread that every speaker at Healthy Heart Day touches upon, making a commitment to your health and a focused effort at achievable personal change.
I'm Jennifer Michaud. 3.5 years ago, I had open heart surgery to replace my aortic valve. I was born with a heart condition. I was born with aortic stenosis. What really changed for me with my condition was when I received the news that I had to have open heart surgery. To be put back together with glue and with stainless steel and with stitches, and then to be expected to go back to normal life. Research is so important to me because I am not done my heart surgery journey. I have a bioprosthetic valve implanted, which means in about 15 to 20 years, I'm going to need another surgery.
I would like to welcome our first speaker, Mayor Kathryn McGarry. I have known Kathryn since the first day I moved to Cambridge in 1998 and had the privilege to work with her at Cambridge Memorial Hospital in the intensive care unit. You see, Mayor McGarry is a registered nurse for over 35 years in the emergency and ICU units and a community care coordinator. She was elected an MPP for Cambridge in 2014 and in 2016, serving as the Minister of Natural Resources and Forestry and subsequently as Ontario's Minister of Transportation. In 2018, Kathryn was elected as the Mayor of Cambridge. She has been an avid supporter of Healthy Heart Day and has attended many of our events in the past, helping us sustain this event year after year. She brings greetings on behalf of the City Government and the citizens of Cambridge.
Mind, body, and spirit. Take control of your health. What a timely and holistic theme for this year's 17th Annual Heart Healthy Day. Good morning, everyone. I'm Kathryn McGarry, Mayor of Cambridge, and I welcome you on behalf of Cambridge City Council. Don't you wish we could be together again for this incredible event? I look forward to Heart Healthy Day every year, usually starting the day with the Survivor's Walk. I reflect on those we have lost and those we have known who have recovered from heart disease. And I reflect on the gift of this annual educational day for the overall health and well-being of our community. Thank you, Dr. Pandey, Michelle, and your team, our speakers, and our sponsors. I have a confession. I've never been a good role model for others in balancing the mind-body-spirit connection, as I'm used to working long hours. However, I do understand how important it is to nurture ourselves, especially after the stresses and strains we're all experiencing after this past, very different year. Today is the start of the third stay-at-home emergency order from the provincial government. There is hope that as more of us get vaccinated, this will be the last surge, and by summer, life will start to normalize and we can again hug our friends, children, and grandchildren. Not surprisingly, many of us put on a few extra COVID pounds, drank more alcohol, and may have exercised less in the past year. While there have been many stories of acts of kindness, there are also some who experience unkind behavior in person and social media. If asked, many people say they just don't feel like themselves. Women particularly have had added stressors as they're often working in essential jobs, are often the caregiver to children, grandchildren, and family, and have had to help school their children when schools are closed. A former nursing colleague told me she recently worked a 12-hour night shift, came home, got her 3 kids up and online for school, made supper after a short nap, and then went back to work for her next night shift. No wonder we see a rise in overall mental health issues in our community. As women have been disproportionately affected this past year, today is a good time for them to start learning how to take control of their health. The combination of the stress of the daily news and drastic changes to the way we work, live, and play means we all really need to learn how to achieve better overall health. Personally, I continue to learn even small ways I can manage to accomplish this goal from Heart Healthy Day workshops. My first yoga class was during a previous Heart Healthy Day, which has helped me with improved mindfulness. Yesterday, I had a 15-hour workday with little time between long meetings, which is a usual workday for me for some years now. There is a difference, however, due to the public health measures that we're practicing. These now virtual meetings means sitting in front of a computer for long periods of time. Being sedentary is not good for our health, as experts have told us. I used some of the strategies I've learned here to try and focus on the vital mind, body, and spirit connection. I frequently did ankle and leg exercises under my desk to improve my circulation. I was conscious to try and maintain good posture and did some deep breathing exercises occasionally to help ease tension. When I did get up for a 2-minute break, I was as active as possible, practicing stepping in place, swinging my arms, doing shoulder rolls, and stretching exercises, and what a difference it made. During those brief moments, I practiced some positive mindfulness, along with a focus on deep breathing, and it was remarkable how this helped during the sometimes stressful meetings. These techniques should help all of us to de-stress, relax, and maintain good heart health. We can learn to be more aware of the connection of our mind, body, and spirit, and the impact it has on our overall health. We learn how to be kind to ourselves. That positive energy will help our families, friends, co-workers, and community to better mental health and heart health. I'm really looking forward to our speakers and events planned for today's 17th Annual Heart Healthy Day. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, Mayor McGarry, for your kind words of support and encouragement. So, let's get started. It's been an exhausting, stressful year for all of us. As a healthcare provider, I've seen firsthand the devastation the COVID-19 pandemic has had on the lives of so many of my patients. Working in environments where I know I'm exposing myself to the COVID-19 infection, it's been anxiety-provoking for me personally, I'll be honest with you. Then to come home and know that I could potentially be a carrier of this virus and expose my family, it's left me at times with a sense of despair and dread. I do what I can, as we all do. For me, when I return from the hospital, I spend a half hour scrubbing myself down in the shower, hoping that this may reduce the risk to my family. I'm not sure it makes much of a difference to scrub down each night, but it gives me a sense of control, a small sense of control. And control is one of the many things that we've lacked this year. Lack of control of our health, our behavior, our work, and our leisure time. It's been a very stressful year, and we all desperately need to recover from this traumatic year. With that as a backdrop, it's an honor to welcome you to the 17th Annual Healthy Heart Day, an event dedicated to giving you the tools to regain control of your heart health with exceptional speakers and virtual workshops. This community outreach event brings a diverse set of people together, not only from Cambridge and the surrounding region, from all over Southwest Ontario. We are thrilled to be on Rogers TV and live streaming online. This has given us the opportunity to connect and share with people from coast to coast, from across Canada and the US, as well as around the world. I applaud the fact that you are here, listening, absorbing, inquiring. For the group in Victoria, BC, who are up at 6 a.m., to the group in Asia and Australia who are staying up late at night, we thank you for joining us and taking part in this event. We are honored to have two keynote speakers today. Dr. Peter Lynn, a world-renowned clinician and health educator who is a staple of CBC News health coverage. Peter is tasked with giving us facts about the current phase of the pandemic and teaching us about ways we can get past this pandemic, including the role of the COVID-19 vaccine and personal changes we can make to regain our health. We are equally pleased to welcome Mr. Boris Cherniak, an author, international speaker and motivator who is tasked with giving us emotional strength to get past this pandemic and make the changes to recover our health and well-being. This is what we've all been waiting for, and it's finally here. The COVID-19 vaccine that may herald the final stages of this pandemic. It could save countless lives and finally allow us to reopen our society and give us back some sense of a new normal. But how did this miraculous vaccine come out so quickly? And how effective is it truly? How about its safety? So many questions, so much confusion. I am grateful that we have an expert educator like Dr. Lynn here for this event to address these questions and any reluctance or hesitancy that may exist. His talk is timely, it's precise, and it is understandable. Can't wait for Peter's talk. While we wait for the vaccine rollout, we've all been stuck indoors, eating too much, at times drinking too much, and generally doing very little. This is a recipe for weight gain, which risks the development of diabetes and heart disease. In fact, on average, people have gained 2 pounds each month during the pandemic. On average, 25 to 30 pounds since the start of the pandemic. How will we lose this weight once this pandemic is over? Will this weight gain be permanent? Dr. Lynn will address this also. I opened this event by saying that this has been a very stressful year for all of us. We will learn today how stress is a major contributor to heart disease symptoms. It can lead to changes in blood pressure, increase the risk of diabetes, and lead to poor health choices like excess alcohol and smoking. But we will also learn today that stress does not come from outside. It is our own response to the outside world. That we should not be afraid of stress, but we also should not ignore stress. We should be aware of our stress triggers. We should try to avoid or overcome the recurring triggers of stress. And where necessary, we should get professional help. There is no one-size-fits-all solution to manage stress. Each individual is different. Get help if you need it. Early in the pandemic, when most businesses and entertainment venues were forced to close, toilet paper was actually not the only thing stripped from market shelves. The country suddenly faced a shortage of flour and yeast as people stuck at home went on a baking frenzy. While I understand the need to relieve stress, feel productive, and perhaps help others less able to do so, bread, muffins, cookies were probably not the most wholesome product that might have emerged from pandemic kitchens. Well before the pandemic prompted a rise in caloric consumption, however, Canadians were eating significantly more calories each day than they realized, in large part to the readily available ultra-processed foods. When calorie-rich foods and snacks are in the home, they can be hard to resist when there's little else to prompt the release of pleasure-enhancing brain chemicals. But these calorie-rich foods lead to weight gain, increasing the risk of diabetes and heart disease. To no one's great surprise, smoking rates also rose during the pandemic, increasing yet another risk of heart disease. And there's been a run on alcoholic beverages. National sales of alcohol were 54% higher this year than before the pandemic. A recent Harris poll showed that nearly 1 in 4 adults drank more alcohol than usual to cope with pandemic-related stress. Not only is alcohol a source of nutritionally empty calories that raise the risk of diabetes, excess alcohol can directly increase the risk of various forms of heart disease, including AFib and congestive heart failure, both illnesses on the rise in our society. But we can reverse these trends. The power is within us. We need to be motivated to do so. To me, this pandemic has demonstrated not only the dangers of the COVID-19 virus, but equally importantly, the power that we all have to make lifestyle and behavioral changes to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe and healthy. Who would have thought in 2019 that we would all be willing and able to wear masks, isolate ourselves from our friends and family, and stop doing all the day-to-day things that we took for granted, like going out to dinner, music concerts, or travel, just to keep ourselves and our communities healthy and safe. But we did. It's a great tribute to each and every Canadian that has made those daily sacrifices to control this viral epidemic. But if we can make such drastic changes to our lives to defeat this virus, surely we have the power within us to make the much smaller changes to day-to-day activities to control the equally deadly epidemic of diabetes and heart disease that continues to ravage our society. So thank you for spending the next couple of hours with us during this Healthy Heart Day broadcast, and for finding the power within you to make the changes needed to prevent and control heart disease during this pandemic and as we get past this pandemic. One effect of the pandemic is feeling like every day, every week is the same. Doesn't it feel like Groundhog Day every day to you? One way to get around that endless spiral is with time-based goals or challenges. For example, if you say, for the next 28 days, I'm going to exercise once a day, then you have a theme or a focus or a purpose for that change. The next month's challenge could be going for a walk each day, or connecting with relatives, or cooking a meal each night instead of takeout or ordering in. One thing I would request as you go through this broadcast is to set at least one SMART goal. A SMART goal is one that is specific, measurable, achievable, and realistic, with a timely purpose for your heart health. Let's set that goal together by the end of this event, shall we? Will you do that with me? Now, let's get started.
We can be bruised. We can be broken. Slowed down, confused, and even numbed. But we can't be stopped, and we can't be defeated. Because we've got more fight in us, more breakthroughs in us, and more people who care about people in us. The unknown, it's scary, but so is our will. Our will to research, our will to educate, and our will to save lives. See, we're built on a foundation that's strong. Our mission, unwavering, and together we'll beat as one.
It's both an honor and a pleasure to introduce Dr. Peter Lynn, a friend, a colleague, and a recurrent presenter at Healthy Heart Day. He has been the Director of Primary Care Initiatives at the Canadian Heart Research Centre. He is the health correspondent for CBC Radio, and he runs 2 busy clinics in GTA. He is a fantastic speaker, and as such, Peter has received a teaching award from the Canadian College of Family Physicians. Dr. Lynn is tasked here today with updating us on valuable new vaccine information. In addition, we know this pandemic has had deleterious effects on many aspects of our health, including our waistlines. Peter will also address the impacts of weight gain we have all faced during this pandemic and effective strategies for weight loss. Peter.
Thanks very much, Dr. Pandey, and thank you for the opportunity. I want to thank you again for organizing this great meeting where we can get together and share some thoughts about how to stay safe and also how to stay healthy as well. I thought I'd start off with this slide. You know, I think everybody wishes that we were there where we could enjoy ourselves. but how do we make it good here in Canada as well? So we're going to talk a little bit about the COVID-19, how to stay safe in terms of vaccinations, in terms of what we should do, and also how to help ourselves stay healthy in terms of our cardiovascular system. I thought I'd start off with one little funny, are you going to get vaccinated? And the other mouth says, are you crazy? They haven't finished the human trials yet. I think in the beginning it was going fast and furious, and I think there were some concerns. Now that we're at hundreds of millions of people getting vaccinated, I think we're pretty confident that the vaccines are doing well and that they can protect us and help us as one of the tools to get us out of this pandemic. I just wanted to make clear that I'm not representing anybody, so I'm just sharing information from myself to yourself, so I don't represent a specific organization or a public health agency. Let's start off with this one. What do you mean by 4 months? I think that has been on people's minds. You get the first shot and then now you're told that the next shot isn't going to be at the usual time, but in fact it's going to be 4 months later. Now, of course, they only did this because there wasn't enough vaccine around. And really, it's a recommendation just to say we can go out to 4 months, but if we get more vaccine supply, then of course we would give it earlier. So therefore, rest assured that as soon as the vaccines come, you'll be contacted earlier to get it. Now, where did this 4 months come from, and is it okay? Because I think a lot of us are thinking, if I get one shot and I don't get the second shot just in time, I'm going to run out of steam, so to speak. It's like a rocket ship, the first booster gets you this high and the second booster will send you into space. So if you don't get that second booster at the right time, then I fall back to Earth. Now, the good news is that it probably doesn't work quite that way. And so let me just show you the original studies that they did with the Moderna and the Pfizer studies. This one particular one is the Moderna one. And what I'm going to show you here is in the gray line are the people on the placebo side, so the not real vaccine side, getting sick. And you can see in the blue line are the people that got the Moderna vaccine in terms of them getting sick. And you could see that somewhere around 94% protection. And I just want to point out that the line is very flat. In other words, it seems like at a certain point these people are protected and they don't seem to be getting infected. And so we took a look at the Pfizer study, and you could see the same flat line coming out in this direction. And you could see here the studies went out to about 105, 110 days, somewhere in that ballpark. And I think if they kept going for a little longer, that flat line might be there as well. So with this flat line, people started to think, could it be that the first shot is good enough? In other words, giving you enough antibodies. But that's difficult because all of these studies had 2 shots. So how can you separate them out? So they said, let us go and look at the following, not at the tail end of the study, but let's look at the very beginning part of the study. So this is the part where it's the first 21 days. So this would be the only thing is the first shot. Nobody has gotten the second shot yet. And so you could see in the first couple of days, everybody's getting infected the same, whether you had the real shot or the placebo shot. And that's because the vaccine hasn't kicked in yet. You haven't made any antibodies, so there's no protection at that time. You'll notice around day 12, it's interesting, it starts to flatten out like a hockey stick that's upside down. And so it would look like that you've made enough antibodies so that you can stop the virus from coming in and infecting that particular person. And if you were to carry that line out into the bottom graph, then you'll see that it continues to be quite flat all the way out to that 100 days or so. And so therefore that gave us some hope that maybe that first shot is doing some good as well. Now, of course, the second shot is very much needed because you need it to boost you to make more antibodies. So the hope was the first shot would give you enough to protect you, and then the second shot would give you more money in the bank, so to speak, and therefore make it more long lasting. And if you look at that period, it was somewhere for the Pfizer one, it's 21 days to 42 days. So there were some people that got it all the way out to 42 days, and you can see that the line is quite flat. So it would look like that second shot didn't give you any extra protection. It's just giving you more antibodies to keep in the bank, so to speak. And so that's where people started to say, maybe we can, stretch out that first shot a bit longer because maybe the protection from the first shot is quite good. And that's where, because of the shortage, we had to calculate, is it possible to stretch it out so that you can cover more people? And the thought is, if you can cover a lot of people, with that first shot, then the virus has nowhere to find as a new home. And so it could end the pandemic earlier than giving 2 shots to everybody, but in a smaller pocket, for example. And so that's why they said we can extend it out to about 4 months, and hopefully that would cover more people in terms of vaccination. Now, of course, the recommendation is that you could go out to 4 months, but if we get supply, then of course everybody would get that shortened as well. The one small problem with this is that these studies generally are younger, healthier people, and younger, healthier people tend to make more antibodies off of the first shot. And whereas perhaps older folks or perhaps patients with cancer or immunocompromised patients, maybe they won't make as much. They will still make antibodies, but the question is, will they make this much or will they make this much? And where is that magical line of protection? And so the hope is that they still get across that magical line of protection, but perhaps they don't make as much antibodies as the younger folks. So therefore, we need to be careful about that group of patients as well. You might have heard numbers like after the first shot, you're 50% protected. After the second shot, you're 95% protected. So it makes it sound like you do need the 2 shots. But here's how we do those calculations. So for example, where this arrow is, this is the number of people that got sick with the placebo shot, and this is the number of people that got sick with the real shot. And if you do the math, you would say that, well, this is about a 60% savings in terms of people getting sick. Now, if you do it later in the study, then basically more people are sick on the placebo side. So that number is now huge compared to roughly the same number of people on the vaccinated side. But when you do the math, the reduction will now look much bigger, 94%. So therefore, the group that got vaccinated may not be changing so much. It's more the other side that didn't get vaccinated are getting sicker, and therefore the numbers are being driven up that way. So that's why I think that we should feel confident that at least the first shot is definitely going to give you some protection. And as soon as the supply eases up, then I think that they will get us to get the second shot. So that way we're fully protected in that sense. Now, having said all this, even if you are fully protected with 2 shots, we still want you to be careful because this is 94%. In the real world, I think they're quoting something like 90% protective, which means there will be still 10% of the people, even though they got the shot, will get the virus. And so that's why we still have to do mask and distance and everything else just until the case counts come down. So in other words, in the future, if let's say our case counts are 50 people a day, then your chance of bumping into a virus is very low. And so therefore we can start thinking about removing some of those protections. But right now we need all 3 layers. We need distance, we need mask, and then we need the antibodies. So in a sense, the antibodies is your last line of defense. We want to keep the other 2 lines of defense there quite nicely. Now in Israel, they had the opportunity to vaccinate many people. So they presented what happened with the first 600,000 people. So they compared that group to the group that did not get vaccinated. And remember, the first 600,000 people, they were sicker because they were the elderly and things like that. So they're actually comparing a sicker group to a less sick group of people that didn't get vaccinated. And they produced some very interesting results. The blue line are the folks that got vaccinated, and you could see that nice flattening out effect as well. If you look at whatever they're measuring, it sort of has that nice flattening effect. Whether it's hospitalization, there's a flattening out. And severe disease, there's also a flattening out. And then of course the one that we worry most about is death. So thankfully the death numbers are very low, but again, it doesn't seem to be going upward, it seems to be flattening out. So it seems like the vaccines are doing what they're supposed to do. Now, it is true that the variants are here, and so therefore this may change things, and I'll explain how that will change in a second, but we definitely do have some good information that the vaccines are helpful. Now, if you calculate how well it is, it's going to be the same thing, right? So early on, if you do the math, it won't be maybe 50% effective, and then if you do it a little bit later, because the side that didn't get vaccinated are getting sick, the numbers become bigger, and therefore the reduction looks a whole lot better as well. Now the question is, does it last? And this is a great question. So they're still following the people that were in the original studies. I think they'll follow them for about 2 years. So then they'll be able to tell us how long do these antibodies from an injection last. We do need to think about whom we're talking about. Is it immunocompromised, cancer patient, elderly? So we need to keep track of them as well in terms of their antibodies. Now the good news is that in that big study from Israel where they vaccinated all those people, they have patients, about 11,000 that had cancer. So we'll get information from them as to whether it worked to protect them Pregnancy has always been on our minds as well, and there's 1,500 pregnant women that were vaccinated, so we'll know much more about that as well. And you can see here immunocompromised patients, 16,000 there. So basically, as we vaccinate more people and protect more people, we'll get a better handle on how well does it work in all of these patient subgroups as well. How do you vaccinate when you have limited amount of vaccines? So this became a problem because our supply is not so steady, and so therefore we have to do with what we have. Now initially it was sort of vaccinate as many people as possible, and when you have good vaccine supply, that's a good idea. But then when you don't have enough vaccine, then we have to start looking at the hot spots. In other words, go fight the fire where the fire is burning, and that way you'll get the most out of your vaccine effectiveness. And so you could see these maps of different postal codes, and here in Ontario, for example, they've now gone over to the hotspot vaccination with these pop-up clinics and things like that, where people can get shots in the highest risk area. And so therefore that will focus the vaccines a little bit more into the areas where people are moving that virus around. Now, what's interesting is that smallpox and Ebola, to get rid of them, they did something called ring vaccination. So who's the highest risk of getting the virus? It's actually a close contact of somebody that just tested positive. So if, let's say, I'm the person in red, that little red fellow there, I just got the result that I'm positive, the people that are around me are the highest risk of getting the virus, because I'm going to pass it to them. And so therefore, if we were to vaccinate those people, then we can stop that transmission from myself to the next person. And so perhaps we can wring the virus away. In other words, keep it contained. And you could imagine that maybe my direct close contact might not get the benefit because I've probably infected them already, but perhaps their contacts, if we chase them down, would be useful. Or if I'm working at a warehouse and I'm positive, then we go after all the co-workers that I might have been around and perhaps their family, and that way we'll stop the virus from spreading outward. So that's a very useful way of sort of focusing on a few people and giving them very good protection, and then that protects the rest of the community. So what you're trying to do is create very localized high herd immunity around these people, because then they cannot spread the virus outward, and therefore you're protecting the community. So perhaps this ring vaccination idea, which they used for Ebola in 2014, might be a good strategy, especially when we don't have a whole lot of vaccine. So give the vaccines to the people at the highest risk of becoming a case tomorrow. And then what we hope we'll do with that is that the case counts will come down. So if the case counts come down, then therefore there's less virus floating around, so less chance of you and I bumping into the virus. So therefore focusing on a small group of people and making sure that they don't pass the virus will actually protect the large masses of people. Now imagine if everybody did that in all the different countries, focused on those highest risk people. We don't need as many vaccines. So therefore we can have vaccines for other countries so that they can take care of their hotspots. Because if we don't help others take care of their hotspots, then they will generate mutations. Mutations, these new variants, are basically photocopy mistakes. So as we make millions of copies of these things, you're going to make a mistake, and some of those mistakes might be in favor of the virus. So therefore, if we can help everybody get rid of the virus, then we won't be facing new mutants coming from other countries that may not have any vaccine. So this is something that might be useful for us to think about. So if you, for some reason, somebody jumps the line ahead of you for this reason, I would be very happy that they would get the vaccine first before all of us. Now, what about the variants? So that's the problem with the variants, is that these are mutations, and these mutations are an advantage for the virus. So how is it as an advantage? We've heard about the viruses that we first discovered in South Africa and in UK and in Brazil. And the reason why I say discovered there is because we can generate them now here locally, because if we're making copies of it, we will make mistakes, and therefore we can produce it here. So that's why many of the patients said, I've never been to South Africa or UK or Brazil, and yet they've been infected with this, which means that we can create these mutants here locally. Now, how do you read these things? You see these numbers, okay? So 501 means that in the spike protein, in position 501, the amino acid, which is what makes up the whole protein. We use amino acids to make it up. So in position 501, the N amino acid has been replaced by the Y amino acid. And so therefore that little replacement has now made that spike protein a little different in shape. And unfortunately, it makes it a little bit better set of keys to get into the virus, into your cells. So therefore, the spike protein is a set of keys that gets into our lock. It now fits better into that lock and therefore more likely to infect the cell. Now, once it gets into your cell, these new ones, they're built so that they can push your factories. So they borrow your factories to make millions of copies of themselves. And these new versions, they can make tons of virus. So now you have lots of virus in every breath that you blow out. And so that makes it easier to transmit across. And once they get across to the next person, the keys are better. They're more likely to infect the person across the way. And finally, in the beginning, a lot of people don't feel sick. They don't look sick, they don't feel sick. So therefore, that allows them to get close to other people so that they can spread the virus. So these 3 mutations is what's making these viruses spread around so much. And we call these transmission mutations. So it helps the virus move from one person to the next. And so that's why we're seeing the UK version initially there. The B117 is now taking over because it has these particular mutations that makes it easier to get across to other people. Now, what we've also seen recently is that young people are getting sick. So initially it was the elderly folks, people with diseases, but this time around we're seeing young, healthy people and their lungs are badly damaged. So how do we explain that? Well, let's say I sent you one bee. If one bee comes around you, you can handle one bee. But let's say I sent you a swarm of bees. So 500,000 bees, for example. Now that's going to overwhelm you and you won't be able to handle it. So we think what's happening with those transmission mutations, lots of virus, every breath that comes across to you, you get a bigger viral load. So therefore you get infected with more viruses. So instead of 50 getting across and then getting in with their keys, you now have 500,000 that come across and their keys are all good. So all of them will make it into your cells and therefore infect many cells at the same time. And so now that becomes overwhelming. And that's what we saw with the young doctors that looked after patients in Wuhan in the beginning. They didn't know about this virus, so they weren't masking, so they got a huge dose of the virus and many of them died. These were young, healthy people. So therefore, if we give you a huge load of the virus, that might become a problem. And that's why we're seeing the younger people becoming overwhelmed as well. Now, how does the COVID virus actually cause damage, right? It doesn't carry any weapons. It doesn't produce a toxin of any sort. So how is it that it can cause damage in these young, healthy people? Well, the Starship Enterprise, I like Star Trek. So basically, remember, the Starship Enterprise has a thing called an auto-destruct, self-destruct sequence. So if it's badly infected or invaded by somebody or badly damaged, it will blow itself up. And that's what we have in our cells as well. We have an auto-destruct sequence so that if the cell is very badly damaged or it's badly infected, then it will trigger this auto-destruct to get rid of the cell. So a badly damaged cell, that makes sense, right? We're going to have damaged cells, so this is a good way to get rid of damaged cells. And it's a good way to keep your body, without the deadwood, so to speak. And if it's badly infected, it makes sense to get rid of that cell to protect the rest of the body and the rest of the cells. So therefore, we have this auto-destruct sequence that's sitting there. And you could imagine that there's a line, a red line, at which you cross, and then you will trigger this auto-destruct. So it's kind of like the red line on here. There's an auto-destruct red line, and when you cross that red line, that's when your cell will begin this self-destruction in order to get rid of the virus or to get rid of a damaged cell. Now, you can imagine that if I'm an older person, let's say I'm 80 years old, I have cancer, I have diabetes, and I have heart disease, then basically my cells have a lot of damage in them already. So therefore, I'm a lot closer to that red line of auto-destruct. Now, when the virus comes on board, it just has to do a little more damage. Then basically now I'm going to push across that red line, and then I'm going to cause the auto-destruct. I'm going to start damaging my own cells, in other words, killing them. And so if this was only 1 or 2 cells, that's great, but if it's in 1 million cells in your lung, you get into trouble because all of them will hit this auto-destruct at the same time. So we can understand why the elderly, because they have more damage in their cells to begin with, were the first horrible victims that we saw in that first wave. Now, you can imagine with the young, healthy people, well, if I give you a lot of virus, now that's a problem because now your cells are all infected. Let's say 1 million lung cells are infected. And so the cells are saying, wait a second, I'm infected. I better kill myself to save the rest of the body and contain this infection. That's fine again if it was only 50 cells and you kill them off. But what happens if it's 1 million lung cells that are infected because the virus is able to get into all of those? Now you're triggering this auto-destruct in 1 million lung cells, and that's why we're seeing young, healthy people with very damaged lungs that are sitting there. And unfortunately, if the lung cells are damaged, they can't breathe well. They need machines to help them breathe. They need oxygen. And we need to wait until the lungs kind of repair and sort of stabilize before we can get them off all those machines and everything else. So that's why these patients that are lucky enough to end up in intensive care, in other words, there's a bed for them, will take a long time for them to recover where they can come off of those machines. So that's why it's so important for us to protect ourselves so that the virus never climbs on board. Now, understanding this red line, I got thinking, so let's say I have diabetes and high cholesterol and heart disease. What happens if I control those things very well? So could I, sort of move us away from that red line? So in other words, if I treat my diabetes well, my cholesterol well, my blood pressure, in other words, remove some of that damaging kind of process, then can we move away from there and therefore buy some buffer room so that if we get infected, we might be able to avoid triggering that auto-destruct. So that's why I've been telling my patients it's a very good idea to make sure that we manage all of these other conditions well, because we don't have a treatment for COVID, but we certainly have a lot of treatments and a lot of things that we can do to help reduce our risk of having heart attacks and strokes and those kinds of things as well. And the reason why I point this out is that when they first looked at patients with diabetes in England, they said, who's dying, from this? And what you can see here, this is the measurement of A1C, which is a measurement of sugar sticking to your blood. So if you have high sugars, you're going to have more sugar sticking to your blood, which also means more sugar sticking inside your body as well. And so therefore, the A1C measures the percentage of your blood that has sugar stuck to it. The higher the percentage, the worse your sugar control is. So what they said here is that if you have type 1 diabetes, for example, if your A1C is not well controlled, you could see the risk of dying, which is higher on this side, becomes more and more. So therefore, badly controlled diabetes means that if you get COVID, then it's a higher chance of death. If you look at type 2 diabetes patients, many more of those patients around, the same thing. If you have bad control of the diabetes, they're more likely to die. And so that got me thinking that, well, if that direction is true, can we reverse this? Can we control your sugar better and therefore hopefully reduce your risk of dying if you were to get COVID-19, for example? Not to mention, if I reduce your sugar, that's good for you in general. So there's less sugar sticking in your eyes, so we protect your eyes and your kidney and your heart and your feet and everything else because we protect them from getting that sugar sticking inside all those organs. So therefore, it's going to be good for us anyway. So now I've been telling patients, let's work on this now. In other words, get all these other parameters fixed. Blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, get them all fixed as best as we can so that way it protects you from all those complications, but it also protects you a little bit in case you get this COVID-19. You'll be more resilient to it perhaps. The other mutation that you might have heard about is they call it an EEC mutation. It's kind of a short form. And it stands for this. So that means at position 484, this amino acid got switched with this one on that spike protein. Now in this case, it doesn't make it into a better set of keys, but what it does is it changes the electrical charge. So by swapping the amino acid, let's say it went from positive to negative. Now that's a problem because when the antibody is coming in to stick to that spot, it's looking for the right charge. And so if it sees the wrong electrical charge, then it gets kind of pushed away. It's not as attracted to it. And so therefore, this particular mutation makes the antibodies less sticky to the virus. Now that becomes a problem because this is known as an escape mutation. It escapes your defenses. And so therefore, let's say you had the shot and you built up antibodies, some of those antibodies may not stick so well at that particular spot. Now, thankfully, when we give you an injection of the vaccines, you don't just make one antibody to the spike protein, you make many. Okay, so let's say the spike protein is this big thing, so then you're going to make antibodies to these different parts of it. And so therefore, if one area has changed, you still have access to go after the other ones. And it turns out that there's one area of the spike protein that is the same between all the variants. It's kind of like you look at a building, right? The top may change and look fancy, but the base, the foundation is very similar. And so therefore, if you happen to make those antibodies that go after that base part, then basically that antibody will serve you well across the different variants. And so therefore, it would protect you against many different strains. Now, I'm hoping that the companies are working on this. In other words, instead of giving us the whole spike protein to make antibodies against, maybe if they could design something that just gives us the part that is the same, then that way one vaccine could sort of rule them all, and we don't have to keep getting updates every time there's a mutation. So I'm hoping the smart people are working on this kind of process, and therefore we would have one vaccine that could then be strong against all of them. Now, what happened in Brazil was very interesting. And the reason why I'm showing you this is that this was January in Brazil. And Brazil, in Manaus, it was a big city, and they had a horrible time during the first wave. There was a lot of disease, people got sick, a lot of people died. Now, thankfully, enough people got infected that eventually the virus couldn't find another person to infect. And you could see that, even though in the beginning, the transmission rate was very high, for every one person, it would infect 4 or 5 other people, you could see that that fell down. And when it came down, it was because a lot of people got infected. So this is that idea of just let people get infected and they get that herd immunity. And you could see that the transmissions went down. And then when they were checking those blood donation places, where people donate blood, they checked for antibodies in there, and they said, 75% of the people seem to have the antibody, meaning we've reached that herd immunity that we're so wanting to do. Now, they opened up everything, and then something bad happened. The P1 version came. You and I know this as the Brazilian version. In other words, first discovered in Brazil, or you'll hear the P1 designation. Now, unfortunately, the P1 has that EEC mutation, the one that makes your antibodies not stick so well. And so therefore, it may not work so well. Even if you've had a natural infection, maybe that antibody might not work so well on this particular virus. And also over time, your body says, why am I producing all these antibodies against the virus? So your body will come down in the antibodies. So based on a bunch of things, what happened was that this version, when it came into the community, you could see what happened to the cases. It basically went straight up. It's almost as if this is a brand new virus. So that's why we're so careful with people. We say, even after you've been vaccinated, we still want you to take care in terms of distancing and mask until such time that we can say that the virus is pretty much gone. So when we see very low case numbers, then that will be a signal that we're out of the woods. But if we still see high case numbers, high variants that are floating around, then we just need to be careful. Distance, mask, and antibodies from the vaccine, 3 layers of protection would be very good for us. We can fix this, okay? So I love this picture just to show you that we can go somewhere beautiful. And the way to fix it is very simple. It's just avoid the breath of another person, because we now know that the virus is produced by a human, okay? So it doesn't exist on the ground or anything like that. It's produced by a human, and I have to breathe it out and you have to suck it in. So that's really the most common reason that we can transmit this virus, and that's why it's been so successful. So just don't breathe in the air of another person. Now, I know that sounds kind of strange, but that's where the distance came from, right? So the whole idea is if I'm far enough away from you, I cannot send the viral particles towards you. And similarly, if I put on a mask, it slows down my sucking power. So therefore, it's harder for me to suck in the virus. I have to actually physically be closer to you. And if I have virus, then I stop it from blowing out towards you. So that's why the mask was so important as well. And so these are things to avoid the breath of another person. And in a strange way, all these lockdowns is really meant to keep us away from each other and then breathing each other's breath. And that's basically how it works. We tell you to stay at home so that way you're not near another person, and so there's no chance that you're going to breathe in the breath of another person. And the reason why that's important is if you look at the shape of the virus, it's a round ball. So in other words, it can't stay in the air for very long. So yes, it can float out there on little particles and I can breathe it out towards you, but it's not a glider. In other words, it's not shaped that it just can keep floating in the air. So that's why avoiding the breath of another person is so important, because once there's no people around, those virus particles will fall to the ground, and so therefore we don't have to worry about them anymore. Now, if you look at these pictures, you've seen many of these things. If you don't have a mask on, then the airflow coming out of your mouth is quite strong, and the virus needs our wind power to move around. And so that's why we tell people, this is the area that we need to protect, and this is the area that we need to focus on. And so let's say both people are not masked, then basically if there was a virus here that this person now has pushed out, then the other person could very easily suck that in, and therefore you would have transmission. So that's why that face-to-face contact, no mask, was basically the biggest transmission of this particular virus. Now, if we put a mask on both sides, you'll notice that people have been saying, well, these cloth masks leak and things like that. But you'll notice what it does is that it keeps the virus particles near you. So let's say I'm full of virus particles. If I put a mask on, then it keeps the viral particles near me and away from you. And that's basically how I can protect you. You'll notice on the other side, this person can only suck in around his airspace. So it's very hard for him to suck a virus that's 2 feet away. And so by putting these layers of material in front of your face, it slows down your sucking power, and therefore the virus has to be much closer to you before you can suck it in. However, people got a little bit sloppy, I guess, because they heard public health say distance, and if you can't distance, then wear a mask. And so my patient said, oh, okay, so that means that if I wear a mask, I can get close. It doesn't mean that, because if you look at this, as soon as you get close, now the leak around me and the leak around you now mix. So therefore now we can easily breathe each other's breath. Now you can imagine, let's say grandma is hard of hearing, right? So you lean into grandma, you yell in her ear, and now what you've done is you've gotten close, and yelling is huge wind power for the virus, so therefore the virus can move. So even though we say distance and mask is such an easy thing to do, there's so many automated things that we do that we forget, and therefore we just go ahead and do it, and then we break that golden rule of distance and mask. Now, what about if we do the distance properly? That would be good. But what about if I can't do the distance? So let's say I'm standing on a bus and now my distance is not 6 feet. So what we tell people to do is to turn the other way. So just face away from people's faces. And you can imagine if the other fellow turned the other way, now they're breathing out that way. And so therefore their chance of passing it to each other is much, much reduced as well. And even if one person turns away, the other person's breathing on the back of the person's head. So therefore your chance of breathing the virus in is lower. And if you have to walk past somebody that's really close to you and there's no space, just hold your breath and then walk past them, and then you can start breathing. Just like if you walk past somebody that was smoking, you just hold your breath so you don't inhale, and therefore you won't inhale the virus or anything else there as well. Face shields, I'm going to just give a little bit of a plug for that. Initially we said it's leaking everywhere, so it's no good. But face shields work in the sense that they stop you from blowing the virus directly at somebody. So it deflects the virus downward. So therefore, if you have a face shield on, you do protect the other person because the virus goes downward. And once it's out of the line of path of your face, the virus can't fly back up. It has no wind, it has no machinery that it can come back up in altitude. So as soon as it goes downward, then it's going to be much safer for people. And so that's why it's harder for you to infect somebody if you have a face shield on. What happens if there's a virus out here? Does the face shield protect you? Yes, because it's harder to suck it around a U-turn, right? Because imagine the virus has to go around the big plastic sheet and then come into your nose and then infect you that way. So it does protect that way. I wouldn't wear it alone. I would wear it with a face mask. So face mask plus a face shield would give you some of that extra protection. And the other thing is that if, let's say you're working in a factory, for example, and there's no way to separate. I have a patient who's working at a bakery and they have a slicing machine, and all their bread slicing machines are next to each other. So physically they can't do anything. They can't even put a barrier. There's not enough space and the stuff would get caught in the machine. So in that situation, a face shield and mask would be a good option. So that way we cut down on the transmission in that fashion. So that's why you see these do's and don'ts, right? You know, in the elevator, face away from people and so on and so forth. And initially we have one for every scenario. But if you just think about it, I want to avoid the breath of another person. And if you think that way, then you will make sure that you do all the right things. For example, if you're going shopping and there's a sale on apples, I've seen everybody, piled together, and the frenzy of trying to grab the apples, they're breathing heavy. So people are exchanging viruses at that time. So let's think about those things. I saw one lady who, it was interesting. She held her breath. She took a big breath in, and then she dove in there like she's diving for pearls. She comes out with a bunch of apples, and she goes into another corner where there's nobody there, and she picks through them, and then she returns the other apples. So obviously she's thought it through as to how to avoid the breath of another person. If you have to isolate at home, let's say you're told that there was an exposure, you have to go home and isolate. Remember, you also have to isolate away from your family. So therefore, you can't all sit on the same sofa and watch TV, because then they can breathe the air from you. You notice that you can't be preparing food together next to each other if you are supposed to be isolating at home. So therefore, it makes it difficult, because 50% of our cases are coming from close contact. So in other words, that would be co-workers or people at home, family, that kind of thing. So let's think about how to avoid the breath of our family members as well, especially if they have to go out and continue to work in essential services and things like that. Eating is also interesting. So the person that's isolating can't eat with everybody because everybody's mask is off. And so therefore the virus is going to move. You're eating, talking, lots of virus could move that way. So we have to separate eating times and so on and so forth. So that's why these are things that we just have to think through, and that way we won't have infection. Of course, sleeping, you have to sleep in separate beds as well. And some people say, but we don't have a separate bed, then you use a sofa, which is uncomfortable. Or if we're really, really desperate, we flip people. So in other words, head to feet kind of sleeping, just to try and separate the distance from the air that's being breathed out. So you can see that we do need to think about some of these things in order to make it safe for people and not drive up the cases. I would love to have a simple home testing kit where you spit on this little strip. The strip has antibodies that will grab the spike protein. If it does, it changes colors and it says yes or no. And you can imagine everybody in the morning would, family spit onto this little strip. And then if it's positive, you all stay at home and isolate. If it's negative, you get to go out to go back to work or to go to school. And so this way we would identify people that have the virus, and we don't allow them to go into school, workplaces, and spread the virus. So I think we also need a testing strategy in addition to vaccines, so that way we can identify people that may be carriers of the virus and separate them out. So that way the large majority of people can get back to some sort of normal life, and then we protect those people that have it until such time that they're clear. Eating. So I think everybody's been sitting at home eating. I certainly have been doing that. And so the concept is, how do we lose the COVID-19 pounds, that's there? And remember we talked about, we want to be good for your diabetes and blood pressure. So in other words, your cardiovascular health is important. Otherwise, yes, we protected ourselves against COVID, but then we end up having a heart attack or a stroke or something like that. So that's why it's important for us to pay attention. It's been over a year, so you can imagine the damage that I've done in terms of the weight gain and things like that. We should start getting that weight off. The problem is when you're stressed, you tend to look for different foods. So when you're stressed, your body thinks that you're going to war. Now, if you're going to war, what do you want to do? You want to look for sugary things because you need an energy. That sugar is your fuel source. So you're going to look for things that are sweet. You're going to look for things that are fatty because fat carries more calories. So 1 gram of fat is about 9 calories, whereas carbohydrates, is 4 calories, or protein is only 4 calories. So if I wanted to carry energy with me, I would carry it in the form of fat. And so that's why I have the big tire around my belly, because just in case I hit a famine or I have to go to war, I have a lot of reserves. So that's why when you're stressed out, you'll tend to look for fatty foods, sugary foods, and also salty foods, because if you are going into battle, you might actually get cut, in which case you might lose some blood. Now, it's hard to give you back blood in nature, but we can give you back sodium, salt, which hangs on to water. So therefore, sodium in your bloodstream will hang on to water, so that would keep your blood pressure up. So that's why when you're stressed out, you're going to look for salty foods, fatty foods, and sugary foods in order to get ready for that battle that you're facing. And we can get stressed out very easily. Turning on the TV these days and looking at the news is stressful, whether you're not sleeping. Because if you're not sleeping, your body thinks that you're at some sort of danger, and that's why you're not sleeping. So again, we need to get regulated sleep, we need to get exercise, we need to decrease the stress level, and that way your brain will start to pick healthier foods as opposed to the ones that you think that you need for war. Now, in terms of exercise, a lot of the gyms have been closed, but a lot of people, at home, they used to walk. The amount of activity has dropped dramatically. I know that I hardly walk now. I'm sitting in front of a computer talking to patients over the phone, and so therefore the amount of activity that we do has dropped. So now we're eating more, and we're baking all the bread and everything else, and we're exercising less. So of course we're going to be gaining weight. It's like putting money into your bank and not using it. So of course your bank account will grow. Now that's a good thing, but in this case, if we grow, that's going to put more workload on your heart. So imagine if I gain 10 pounds. My heart has to pump blood into that 10 pounds to keep it alive. So now I've increased the workload dramatically for my heart as well. So it needs higher pressures and everything else. And so that's why we need to lose this weight back off. Now, I love this picture. We can do some exercises sitting in a chair. I started telling people to go exercise, and I have a few patients, they kind of become clumsy, right? Because they've been sitting around a lot. So their balance isn't so good. So I've had 3 or 4 patients that said, yeah, I just fell. I don't even know how to walk anymore. So why don't we start off with something simple? You're sitting in the chair, and if you're elderly, let's start there as well. You can go and do the fancy exercises later, but certainly let's start there. So sitting in your chair, you can do a lot of things. So just basically think from your head down, head and neck. You can actually do all your stretching, so you could do your turning of your neck and so on and so forth. And you can do some resistance exercises where you hold your head and then you push against your hand. So you can do this exercise while you're sitting. So that way it's very safe, especially if you're elderly and you're by yourself. We don't want you falling, so this would be a very safe activity. For your neck and shoulders, we can do those shoulder rolls to relax the neck muscles. You can do arm exercises where you go up above your head. You can have a can of soup, and you can do some arm exercises with a can of soup as well. For your back, the trunk, we can do all sorts of turning and twisting inside your chair as well. And we could do sideways leaning and etc. And so therefore we can actually do a lot of activity while still sitting. And if you were to carry a can of soup, that becomes your dumbbell weight. So then you can increase your core muscles as you're using these very simple home things in order to increase your flexibility. For your lower back, we do want you to move it around, because with sitting, there's a lot of pressure in the little spinal joints that are called facets. So we want you to move them around to oil them up a little bit. And so therefore keeping your trunk moving in terms of rotation and then sideways and then flexion back and forth, those would be very good things to get you started. Now this isn't going to build a lot of muscle, but it just starts getting you flexible and it gets you motivated so that you can go do a little bit heavier exercises and workout. The knees are interesting. A lot of people have been complaining about knees because you're sitting in one position. And so therefore the knee joint, it needs fluid to move around, okay? So when you open up a chicken wing and you see that nice shiny, that's cartilage. That's the coating over the bone. The bone is actually very rough. So we put this nice shiny cartilage so that way the two joints are now rubbing against shiny versus shiny. But unfortunately that shiny layer, that cartilage, has no blood supply. So it has no way to get food except for the liquid in the joint. So the fluid in the joint is what feeds that shiny surface. Now you can imagine if I'm just sitting there with my knee stuck like this for 8 hours, that fluid is not moving around. So instead of a nice buffet, it's basically old stuff and sticky. And so that's not going to be healthy for the cartilage. So that's why even if you have to sit, let's say you're working, you have to sit, just move your legs around, just slide your feet back and forth. In terms of if you want to put it on a water bottle, you can roll your foot on a water bottle, and that way it keeps that knee lubricated. And so therefore it keeps that fluid going, and it also keeps your muscles a little bit more loose and limber as opposed to tightening up. You can also do some exercises like lifting up your knee in the chair, right? So that would practice all the things that pull up your leg. And you could actually push your hand on it. So now you're doing resistance. So you're lifting up your leg while you're pushing your hand downward. You could try to squeeze your knees together while you have your fists in between. So now your knees are squishing together, and you can practice those muscles. You can put your hands underneath your thigh, and then basically you push down your leg while your hand is pulling up your thigh at the same time. And so again, you can do exercises that'll strengthen your arm at the same time that you're strengthening your legs. And the reason why I want you to do this is that by strengthening this, we can then be sure that you can go on to more exercise. So as the weather is getting better, we want you to be able to go outside and participate and do walking and jogging and those kinds of things, or swimming. But we want you to be in decent shape, because it's been a year where you might not have had such good activity. I like this one with the ankle exercises. I'm not sure if we all get to practice this, but sitting in your chair, what you can do is you can just go on your tippy toes with your feet, and then you can go on your heels, and then tippy toe and heels. And it doesn't matter how old you are, because you're sitting in a chair, it's quite safe. You won't lose balance or anything like that. But it'll get those leg muscles, those ankle muscles moving, and it'll get the fluid in the ankle joint moving as well, so that you'll feel less stiff. Because I've had a lot of patients saying, I just feel stiff everywhere. And that's because they've been in one position for a long period of time. So that little buffet fluid is quite old. So therefore we need to move that around a little bit. What about stairs? Stairs are great because they're in your home. If you just have a box, you can do it up on top of a box and back down from a box. Just be careful if you're older. If you're going to do stairs, just hold on to the banister. If you're going to do a box, I always tell people put it near a wall or near a chair so you have something to hold on to just in case your balance is a bit off. And the reason why stairs or a box is good is because you're lifting your whole weight, right? You're actually lifting your weight with one leg and then you're transferring to the other leg and then lifting your weight again. And if you think about your stairs, you're lifting your whole body one story up. And so you can imagine lifting a huge bag of rocks that high. It is a very good workout. That's also why we tell people to take it easy. A lot of people were trying to run up and down inside the apartment stairwell. Now the air there is not very fresh, and nowadays there's a chance of bumping into people, so therefore we're telling people, you know, do it within your own home. If you have a box, you can just do step up, step down, step up, step down, and that will strengthen your leg muscles as well and also help you with your balance as well. Snow angels. So I started telling some of our really elderly people that have bad shoulders, you know, they go, I can't really lift it up. And traditionally with physio, we have a pulley system, you know, that we have a pulley with a rope and one hand pulls the other hand up. But, you know, how do you set up a pulley system? You can't. So what we've been telling people is to do snow angels on their bed. Okay, so don't go outside to do this. On your bed, you can do snow angels so you can lift up your arm. And your arm is completely supported by the bed. So really, it's not that much effort, but you get to move that joint very smoothly, and you're going to bring back that fluid and getting that flexibility back as well. So therefore, doing some snow angels, it's also good for your hips as well. On your bed is a very easy and a very safe thing to do because you're already lying down, so there's no risk of falling either. The kitchen counter is your friend. You can actually go to your sink area. And the reason why I say sink area, I'm going to get you to do a bow, you know, do a little push-up. And so I don't want your head to hit the cabinet. So go to the sink area. Usually there's no cabinets above the sink area. And put your hands on the countertop. And one thing I want you to do first is to do a little squat, like a battle arena. So then for it, your hands are on the counter, so you're safe. And then what you do is just a gentle squat. So your knee just bends about 2 inches, not more. You don't have to go deep, because most people that go deep can't get back up again. I can't get back up anymore. So what we do is we basically just bend 2 inches and then come back up. And what you're doing is you're actually lifting your upper body. And so therefore you're lifting your whole upper body weight, just that 2 inches, and that will be very good in strengthening your legs as well. And once you get fancy, of course, you can do a little deeper. And once you get really fancy, you can just do one hand touching the counter and then doing a squat. And then if you're really fancy, you can do one leg squatting in this fashion. So one leg is off the ground, the other leg is going down. But we can slowly build up, and you could see that you don't need a gym. You can use your body weight to strengthen your muscles as well. What about walking outside? You know, I love this picture. I hope that when we're allowed to go back outside, that you take advantage of that. You know, in other words, get the fresh air, go for walks and things like that, very natural. Your brain will be happy with it as well because there'll be less stress as well. So the more things that we can do to tell your brain that life is okay, the less stress it will be. So in other words, your brain is looking for signals. So if you skip meals, if you're staying up late at night, if you're yelling, and if you're worried about things, then your brain will think that you're in a battle. And so therefore, if it's in battle, it'll be on red alert all the time. And we don't want your body on red alert, because the red alert system, you know, that fight or flight system, is meant to get you out of danger. So let's say some animal is chasing you. Well, you know what? I want my heart to beat fast. I want my blood pressure to go up. I want sugar to go there because my muscles need it for energy, because I'm running for my life. So basically, the fight or flight system that we have built in was designed to be on and then off very quickly. In other words, get you out of danger. And as long as you're out of danger, then your brain will say you made it, and we can turn the alarm system off. Unfortunately, nowadays, our lives is set up that we're in that fight or flight mode all the time. So you get up and there's bad news, or you have to go to work, or you have to fight with traffic in the olden days when we can drive around. So you can imagine that your fight or flight system, which was meant to get you out of danger very quickly, is actually on a lot of the day. And I have some patients, they go, it's on all night too, even when I'm sleeping, because I can't even sleep. So you can imagine that that system, which was meant for emergency use, is now on all the time, which means your heart is beating faster, your blood pressure is higher, and there's sugar being pushed into your bloodstream, even though you don't need it, right? Remember, the original purpose of giving you the extra sugar is so that you can run. and it was meant to be burned by your muscles. But right now people are sitting either in front of their computer because work is driving them crazy, or in front of the TV because news is driving them crazy. They're not running. So therefore blood pressure is up, heart rate is up, sugar is up, but they're not running. If you were running, all of these things are good. It's very useful. And so that's why exercise is so important, is because after you exercise, I know this sounds silly, but after you exercise, your brain thinks, oh, he made it. In other words, he got out of danger, and so therefore you can turn off those alarm systems. So that's why a lot of people say, when I exercise, I feel good, my brain feels good, and I feel like I'm not as anxious anymore. So that's why exercise would be a very good option for us here as well. And so therefore, watching what you eat and exercising, those are two very simple things that we can all do during the pandemic to make sure that our brain is happy and that our body is well looked after as well. Now, why are we doing all of this is because in the end, this is what unfortunately kills a lot of patients, my patients, and that is a blood clot that happens somewhere in the body. Now, if this was happening in the pipe that was going to your heart muscle, then your heart would not get blood and the muscle would get damaged and die. And so we call that a heart attack. If this happened in the pipe going up to your brain, then the brain doesn't get the blood flow, and we call that a brain attack or a stroke. I guess a brain attack sounds a whole lot easier, but that would be a stroke. And so that's why we spend so much time trying to stop this process. So that's why people said we need to treat blood pressure. We learned that high blood pressure damages the pipe. And once the damage is in the pipe, then the cholesterol that is normally supposed to be in the blood will end up in the wall. And unfortunately, once it goes into the wall, it gets trapped there. It cannot come back out. And so therefore now it builds up and builds up. And this is what we talk about, narrowing of the pipes and everything else. Now, every so often, this cholesterol, this sort of soft, gooey stuff, explodes. And so if it explodes and cracks, then you form a hole. Now, anywhere that you have a hole, your body will repair. Just like if you get a cut on your finger, you will form a little blood clot to seal it up. And so therefore, this is a blood clot that's trying to seal up this little hole. Unfortunately, it is so big now, it plugged up everything. So now there's no blood flow going here, and now you have a blockage. So these are the things that we're trying to protect you against, and that's why we give you blood pressure medication, we give you cholesterol lowering medication, and we give you things like aspirin and things like that to stop the clot from forming. We now recently also learned that diabetes is also very bad. Recently, as in 30 years, we've known that diabetes is bad for heart disease. And we know that patients with diabetes, everything is sped up. So this whole process, everything is sped up by about 15 years. So that's why we're seeing younger people with diabetes having heart attacks and strokes, those kinds of things. And so controlling the sugar is very important as well. And then finally, inflammation. It turns out if you have inflammation, this little cholesterol plaque is more likely to rupture and therefore cause problems and form clots. And what causes inflammation? Well, smoking is not good for you. It'll cause things to be inflamed. Eating burnt foods, like my blackened steak, is not a good idea because that will increase inflammation. And having a big belly. So it turns out that the belly fat, when my big pot belly, that kind of fat produces a lot of chemicals that increases inflammation inside your body. So therefore, inflammation inside your body is not a good thing, and we'd like to avoid that. And that's why vaccination, it's interesting. If we vaccinate against people getting the flu, for example, if they don't get the flu, they don't get that massive inflammation. And so therefore the thought is, could we reduce heart attacks by vaccinating them against the flu? Now we know that that might make sense because with the COVID virus, we notice that the virus causes lots of inflammation and it causes a lot of heart disease and strokes and things like that as well. So that's why vaccinating to avoid the infection may actually protect us in this way. Now, we don't have big studies yet right now, but the idea is there. So not only is the vaccine going to help you not get sick from the flu virus, or in this case, the COVID virus, but it may reduce that inflammation thing when you do have the virus, and it may protect you against other things as well. So these are the things that we're trying to fix. And what's interesting is that if we do lifestyle, in other words, exercise and diet well, that helps the blood pressure. That certainly helps with the cholesterol being lower, and it helps with the sugar being lower. And if I could lose that belly fat, it will lose that inflammation stuff as well. The only one that we don't fix is the blood clot, but that's okay. If the other 4 go down, then there's less need for the blood clot because the thing's not going to rupture. So that's why I think exercise and diet control is so important, in addition to all the medications. Don't forget, when we do these studies that you hear about, for heart disease, it's on top of diet. In other words, we're using these medications on top of good diet, and we're still getting extra benefits. So that's why I want you to do diet, exercise, so the lifestyle thing is your base, and then all of these things, if your doctor gives you blood pressure pills or cholesterol pills or things to stop the blood clot or diabetes pills, those are all important for you to take as well. And that way we can keep you as healthy as possible as we go through this particular pandemic. And finally, I know everybody has done their taxes, but I thought this was a good one. New simplified tax form post COVID-19 just says how much money did you make, and then it just says send it to us. Okay, so it's a very straightforward one. And how do we make it straightforward for the pandemic? Physical barriers. If you want to avoid the virus, no matter how it mutates, it cannot fly. So therefore that distance and also the mask are very important. And consider that face shield may be helpful as another layer in addition to the distance and mask. And of course the vaccine and antibodies is your final layer. In other words, if the virus breaks through distance and mask and then gets inside, then you need your antibodies to fight it off. So that's what the vaccine is going to be very useful for. In terms of our diseases, for example, exercise, we just talked about how in a chair you can do a lot of exercises, on the bed you can do a lot of exercises, so we keep it safe. A lot of this you can do indoors, so you don't have to risk being outside. But once the weather is good and we're able to go outside, we're allowed to go outside, then of course enjoy the outside, the fresh air, the sunshine, and that way we can enjoy our exercises as well. And I think if you look at exercise not as a chore, but as something fun, I think that would be a good thing. Something that is changing your body inside, making you better, making your brain feel happier. Then I think you'll be excited to go and do exercise, as opposed to, I gotta go out for 45 minutes. Let's look at it as being a positive. In other words, it's good for pretty much everything in your body, including your mind as well. And during this pandemic, it has been very grueling for us all. And so therefore we need all the help to keep our mental health there, as well as our physical health. So thank you very much for staying awake. Hopefully you're not on the toilet like this, and I appreciate the time. And thank you very much, Dr. Pandey, for the invitation.
Thank you, Peter. I learned some valuable information. To you, the audience, what SMART goals were you able to create after Peter's talk? Now it's time to get up and get moving and put into action what Dr. Lynn has encouraged us to do, to move to improve our heart health. To help us do this, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Cindy Catton, a registered kinesiologist who graduated from McMaster University. She's a personal trainer and the owner and operator of Citrus Root Personal Training. Cindy specializes in exercise programming for complex medical conditions, injury rehabilitation, and encourages individuals to master lifelong fitness activities such as walking, cycling, golfing, and strength training. Cindy, please help us get up and get moving and get that heart pumping.
Okay, thank you for joining me. I'm here with our team of Healthy Heart Day, and I'd like to thank Dr. Pandey and the volunteers who helped put this together. Today we're going to start with a bit of cardio, so I need you to start marching a little bit, move that body. Now, if you're on the couch at home, I need you to get off the couch. If you're sitting at the kitchen table, stand up, move to the counter, or work behind the chair, whatever you feel comfortable with. But today, you're going to move with me. Here we go, a little bit wider. Get those arms moving. Nice and strong. Feel confident, feel comfortable with what you're working with. We're always going to come back to this marching movement. So if you don't like one of the exercises I worked through today, move back into the march and take it wide. Nice and strong here. Good. Bring it back in. Keep moving those feet. If you can't lift up nice and high, that's okay. Little taps is fine. Little taps. Good. We're going to move one more time. Here we go. Squat down and lift. Squat down and lift. Keep working. Good. Hang on to the chair. Hang on to the counter hang on to the side of the couch. If you need a little bit of support, this is okay. This is what I like to see. Good. Working good? Feeling good? Nice and strong? Good. We're gonna move again. Here we go. Side leg lift. Abs are nice and strong. Good. Abs are nice and strong. There we go. Keep working with me. Again, hang on to the chair. Keep the body nice and tall. Sink down nice and low. You got it. A few more here. Now we're increasing the heart rate. I know you can feel it. The blood is pumping. We need that heart muscle to work so we feel strong. Get the blood into the muscles. Good job. Moving back into the squat. Lift those arms. The more we move the upper body, we're increasing that blood flow. We're making that blood go into the muscles. Nice work. Stay with me at home. Hang on to the chair, hang on to the kitchen counter. Looking good. Now, if you're on the couch, I want you to get up. Work with me. Good. Stay nice and strong. A few more here. Keep going. Good, last one. Sink down nice and low. This is your chair pose, so the chair can go right underneath your bum. The couch is right behind you. Stay nice and strong. Get those arms up. Keep working. Hold here, 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2. We're gonna change. We're gonna pulse. Yes, push through. Working the muscles, staying strong. Heart rate's coming up. I know you feel it. We're almost there. Good, 5, 4. Arms up, 2. Last one, yes. Nice work. I'm gonna start calling you guys my team because I need you with me. I need you working. I can't see you, but I know you're off the couch. You're in that march position. Go wide. Keep it up. Nice and strong. A few more here. Breathe through. Catch your breath. Move back into that narrow position. Okay, we're gonna increase the intensity a little bit. Lift, 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 lift. Come on, a little bit higher at home. Let me see those hands come up. Knees come up high. Good. And a little bit faster. Up, 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 up. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Good. Back to that march. I know that heart rate was up. You're feeling good. We're gonna do a little bit more high intensity. Move to the side. Back leg. Push through. Good. Keep going. Get those arms in there now. Yes. Nice work. Here we go. 5 more. 4, 3, 2, 1. You need to switch sides. Push through. Nice and strong. Good. You got it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going back to that march. You guys are looking good. Help me out. We're almost there. A little bit stronger. Narrow. Catch your breath if you need to. Good. Are you ready? We're moving again. Jogging on the spot. Nice light jog. Feeling comfortable. No problems. I want you to go a little bit faster. Here we go. Move those arms. Keep working through. Nice and strong. Okay, last time through, as fast as you can. Arms and punching, arms and punching. Go, 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 go. Go, 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 go. You're almost there. Yes, you can do this. Good work. Okay, breathe. Breathe. Move back to that march. Inhale. Exhale. You guys are doing great at home. Keep working through. We're about halfway done. So if you're feeling great, keep moving. If you need a little bit more of a rest, stay here in this march position. Take it wide. Making it a little bit more intense. This here, hamstring curl. Good. One foot, the other foot. Try and kick your butt. You got it. Work through. We're gonna add some arms. Reach, reach, reach. Working some back muscles, and we're still working through that cardio. I like it. Good job. Okay, now we're moving into an overhead press. Arms overhead. Remember what I said? Getting the arms up, getting the arms moving, increasing the blood flow. Working a little bit harder. That's right. Looking good. Stay with me. Here we go. Moving arms again. High rows. Working the shoulders a little bit. Think about your abdominals. Are they nice and tight? Belly button into spine. Good job. Through, keep going. Pull through, pull through. Here we go. Back to that march. I love it. How we doing, guys? Move a little bit wider. This is your wide squat position. Knees out to the side. Try and track with the ankle and the toes. Stay strong and get low. Yes, get low. Keep working. There we go. Good job. A few more here. Working the glutes and those large muscles is so important. Keeping your legs nice and strong. We want to be able to go for a nice walk today. So beautiful outside. Okay, we're increasing the intensity again. Bring those feet in, squat down, and jump, and jump, and jump. Keep going. That's what I need to see. Nice and strong. Lower muscles, they're really working, aren't they? Keep it up. Keep it up. Yes, you can do this. We're gonna move again. Hang on. Remember, if you don't like this exercise, you can march. And last one. Here we go. Good work. March it out. Feel strong. Keep working through. We're gonna do a little side step. Right? From that squat muscles. Working the abdominals a little bit more. Working the glutes, hamstrings, quadriceps. So important for movement in that lower body. Let's add in a little bit of a lateral arm raise. Good. Again, if you don't like this exercise, that's okay. Stay with the marching, toe tapping, whatever works for you. Standing up, hanging onto the chair. I love it. Good job. Okay, we're gonna move again, team. Are you ready? Stay nice and wide. Lunge, side to side, side to side. You got it. A little bit of breather, a little bit of a stretch through the inner thigh. Keep working, side, side. Now I need you to get lower. That's right, get lower. Stay with me, keep working. Nice and strong. Lower, down to one side. Stay here, hold, hold. And the other side. Good, hold, hold. Again, side, hold, hold. Other side, hold. Good, side to side. A few more here, and then we're gonna go a little high intensity. If you don't like it, stay here, or move into that marching. Here we go. Lift, lift. Come on, team. Keep working. Yes, you got it. 5 more. 4, 3, 2. Last one. We gotta move to the other side. Good. Up, and keep going. Keep going. You got it. Nice and strong through the abdominals. Breathe through. Good. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back into that march. Oh, you guys are looking so good. I know you're working hard with me. Good job. Okay, I want to teach you a reverse lunge position. Step forward, move that leg in back, lunge down, step forward, alternate side. Good, here we go. Strong through the abdominals. Feet are hip width apart. Nice and strong. Good, we're gonna add in some legs, some arms. Keep moving through, here we go. Lift, strong, lift. You got it. Put those arms up, above the head. Get the blood flowing again. Work those muscles. I love it. Looking good. Stay with me for a few more minutes. Yes. Good job at home. If you don't like this one, go back to the marching. Keep it up. Now go back, step back, hold. Again, nice and strong through the abdominals. Get the arms up. Hold here. 10 seconds. I know you guys can do this. Stay with me. Keep holding. You got it. Now you're gonna pulse up and down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes! Nice work. Other side. Abs in, arms up. Hold that lunge position. We're gonna talk more about lunges later, but 90 degrees here. Nice and strong. Ankle, not over the toe. We wanna make sure the knee is right above the ankle. Stay strong with me here. Good, I like it. You're looking good. Here we go, 10 seconds. We're gonna pulse. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Way to go, team. March it out. There we go. Okay, we're gonna move into a little bit of stretching. We move into a little bit of cool down. You guys did great. You got the blood pumping, you got the muscles working. And you feel great, don't you? Good, inhale. and exhale. Good, again, inhale and exhale. Good, we're gonna really focus on some abs here and some low back. Lift the opposite arm and leg. Good, and the other side. Opposite arm and leg. Good. Squeeze those glutes a little bit. That's it. Touch the toe down if you need some balance. If not, lift. Good, lift. Excellent. Good, keep going. A few more here. Working and stretching. Good. Making those arms work. Keeping those legs strong. Keeping focus through those abdominals. Good. Last one this side. Excellent. Good. Shoulder roll. Shoulder roll. Keep breathing. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Good. Bring that knee up to the chest. Nice and strong here. Good. Stretching out the hamstrings and the glutes a little bit. Now you have to balance, right? Nice. Good. Ankle rolls. Stay with me. Good job, team. Good. Other side. Balance. Other knee comes up. Good. Nice and strong here. Good. Ankle rolls. Good job, team. Hang in there. Hang on to the counter if you need to. One leg's always stronger than the other, right? Yes. Good. Okay, move those legs nice and wide. I want you to lean into that one side. You're going to stretch out that inner thigh. Take that arm up and over. Feel a nice long stretch through the side of the body. Good, in through the back. You got it. Good, and the other side. Good, now if I had more time, I'd do a lot more stretching in terms of the amount of time we spend doing each stretch. But today, 10 seconds is okay. If you have more time at home, you can do a bit more. Good. Legs are nice and straight, nice and strong here. I just want you to tip forward from the hips a little bit. Good, you can put your hands on your legs if you need some support. Good, we're just stretching out that low back, glutes a little bit. Good, walk those feet in. Good, shoulder roll back. Open up the chest, take those hands behind. Good, I want to see a little bit of stretch through the upper muscles there. Good, and roll into the back. Press those hands out front. Nice work. Good, shoulder roll back again. Awesome, inhale, reach up. And exhale on the way down. Good, one more time. Inhale, reach up. And exhale. Good work, team. Thanks for joining me. See you in a few minutes.
Thank you everyone for staying with us and sharing this time with us. As we talked about at the beginning of this event, this has been a very stressful year for all of us during this global pandemic. And stress can have a deleterious impact on many parts of our health, particularly our heart health. So let's talk about that. The first step to overcoming stress is to acknowledge it and to dissect the root causes of that stress. So what are the factors contributing to stress during this pandemic? This pandemic has led to many lifestyle changes, from closure of gyms to changes in how we work, what we can do, and how we can interact with our friends, our family, where we can go. Minor hassles, major lifestyle changes are all a combination that leads to stress. But if you're able to identify the cause of stress in your life and release the tension, you'll be able to better manage that stress. We know stress can affect sleep, which aggravates our health as well. So what should you do if stress is affecting or interfering with your sleep patterns? If sleep problems are adding to your stress, you should make a regular sleep schedule. Keep your bedroom dark at night, quiet. Make sure your bed and surroundings are comfortable. Avoid caffeine and do not exercise within 2 to 3 hours before bedtime. But exercise to release stress. Can exercise affect your stress levels? Well, we know that regular aerobic exercise can decrease the levels of stress hormones circulating in our bloodstream. Exercise is good for your heart, for your mental health, and for your general sense of well-being. Incorporate it into your daily life. We know that due to the COVID-19 crisis, many enterprises have closed or downsized, restructured, or merged to survive, with dramatic impacts on unemployment. Many enterprises have had to change their work practices and procedures to adapt to the new environment. Many workers are worried about losing their jobs and income, all increasing stress, anxiety, depression, and burnout. Job prospects with other companies and institutions may also be difficult to find. Job insecurity is a leading cause of stress currently in our society. We need to recognize it and recognize that it is affecting our mental health and our physical health. Talk about it with your family, your friends. Don't let it boil up inside. Seek help from your healthcare provider if stress related to work is affecting your health. We are here to help. Work-life balance has been a struggle for many people for many years, well before this viral pandemic, but it's certainly gotten a lot worse for many of us. There have been limitations on our social life due to restrictions aimed at limiting this contagion. There has been a blurring of boundaries between personal life and work, particularly for many of us working from home. Additional household chores and caregiving duties such as childcare, homeschooling, and taking care of elderly relatives or family members have added to stress. Stress that can impact our own personal health. So if we recognize this past year has been full of stress, what is stress? Stress is the body's response to your reaction to physical, chemical, emotional, or environmental factors. Everyone feels stress. Some people have more than others, and some will react differently. The way that people think, feel, and act as they cope with the daily stresses of life can have a profound or even a deadly effect on their heart. There is a not uncommon condition called stress cardiomyopathy, or broken heart syndrome, where intense stress can literally injure and weaken your heart. It is essential to be aware of the impacts of stress on your heart health. But here's an important message. Your body fights off stress better if you exercise regularly and when you eat a well-balanced diet with a variety of healthy foods. When we think about stress, there are really two types of stress: emotional stress and physical stress. Emotional stress is related to our feelings. It may be caused by such things as relationship problems, divorce, or even by emotionally degrading experiences with others. Chronic emotional stress is associated with heart disease and early death. Studies have shown major life changes, such as loss of a spouse, close relative, loss of a job, or financial distress causes an increase in emotional stress and a higher incidence of death. Social stressors like death in the family, divorce, often trigger clinical depression or make it worse or cause relapse in those who've recovered from depression. Due to emotional stress, people without spouses tend to die younger than married people. This is because a spouse provides a degree of emotional stress, support, and stability. Chronic negative emotions can have a huge impact on heart health. Those who are always anxious or depressed have a heightened chance of becoming ill, a progression of their angina, chest pain, or even having a heart attack. Physical stress, on the other hand, encompasses exercise or other forms of physical exertion. It is good for your heart as long as your heart is functioning normally. Always check with your healthcare provider before engaging in a new exercise regimen if you have a heart condition. Lack of physical stress, however, also known as sedentary behavior or sedentary lifestyle, constitutes a major risk factor for coronary artery disease. We all need to get up and get going. Both emotional and physical stress increases your heart rate as well as transiently increases your blood pressure and releases stress hormones. This makes the heart work harder. With physical stress, this stress hormone release is transient and for the rest of the day hormone levels are actually lower, reducing the risk of heart disease. In emotional stress, however, these hormones remain chronically elevated, constantly, even when we don't feel stressed. This chronic elevation of stress can increase blood pressure chronically, risk diabetes, and possibly even the onset of heart disease. So, be aware of the signs and symptoms of stress. This can include physical symptoms like dizziness, aches, grinding teeth, clenched jaw, headaches, indigestion, difficulty sleeping. There can be mental symptoms, constant worry, difficulty making decisions, forgetfulness, inability to concentrate. Or emotional symptoms, anger, anxiety, feelings of powerlessness, mood swings, irritability. Finally, there can be behavioral changes, bossiness, compulsive eating, being critical of others, being withdrawn from relationships or social withdrawal, use of alcohol or drugs as coping mechanisms. All of these can be signs and symptoms and warnings that stress are impacting our lives. So how does this all happen? What happens during stress? The body reacts to stressful circumstances by releasing the hormone adrenaline, a catecholamine or stress hormone, from the adrenal glands. This increases your breathing rate and your heart rate, also known as the fight or flight response. Your body is flooded with adrenaline and cortisol. Your heart rate goes up, redirects blood flow to muscles, releases fat into the bloodstream for energy, increases breathing, tenses your muscle, increases blood clotting ability. All of that may be good during exercise, but when you're chronically stressed from emotional stress, your body is constantly exposed to adrenaline and cortisol, raising your blood pressure chronically, raising your blood sugar chronically, and increasing the risk of blood clots, which can also increase the risk of heart disease, heart attacks under certain circumstances. We need to identify the causes of stress in our lives and develop a strategy to manage that stress. There are acute effects from stress that damages the heart. The acute rise in heart rate, blood pressure, can increase the risk of cardiac arrhythmias such as ventricular tachycardia, ventricular fibrillation, or atrial fibrillation. This is due to the fact that the electrical heart muscle is becoming unstable, caused by these stress hormones. In some people, stress can also cause spasm of the heart's blood vessels, which can lead to ischemia or lack of blood flow to the heart muscle. A recent report from the researchers at the University of Laval in Quebec noted that heart attack patients who returned to stressful jobs were twice as likely to have a second heart attack than those who returned to occupations that were relatively stress-free. Another study from Yale University tested the effects of emotions and anger on individuals with heart disease that had an implanted heart defibrillator, which can correct dangerous rhythms by sending an electrical shock to the heart. The patients were tracked for 3 years, and what they found is that individuals who were prone to anger had an increased chance of experiencing arrhythmias. These researchers concluded that therapy focused on helping patients with anger and negative emotions, like yoga, meditation, and mindfulness, may help to reduce the occurrence of arrhythmias and keep the heart more stable. As I said, emotional stress can have chronic effects, and a chronic stress in your life increases the risk of chronic heart disease. Those who are quick to get angry at different circumstances or display hostility are at an increased risk of getting heart disease. What kind of heart problems can arise from stress? Stress, as I said, can increase your risk of a heart attack, sudden death, heart failure, or abnormal heart rhythms. If you're under stress, you're also more likely to have high blood pressure, overeat, be more sedentary, and more likely to smoke. The way that your body reacts to stress plays a key role in the development of atherosclerotic heart disease or hardening of the arteries. So self-care is essential, particularly during the stress of the COVID-19 pandemic. It's important that we all get adequate sleep. We suggest 7 to 8 hours of sleep. It's important that we eat healthy, avoid excess caffeine, sugar, or alcohol. Exercise or other forms of movement can also help reduce stress levels. And certainly relaxation. Give yourself a break from thinking about this crisis and work and other stressors. Tell me if this sounds like you. I've been exercising less than I should. I've made late night runs for fast foods with my kids like I never did. It's been a way to cope, to break up the monotony of being stuck at home. If this is how you cope to stay safe this year, don't feel bad. We all needed to do what we had to do to get through this horrible year. But now we need to get past it. We need to make better choices. Here are some healthier alternatives to manage the stress in your life. First of all, if you know there are clear triggers to the stress, avoid situations that are making you stressed. We've said many times, exercise, great way to reduce stress hormones, at least 30 to 45 minutes daily. Eating a diet that is rich in fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, again, helps. Making healthier lifestyle choices, working on smoking cessation, limiting alcohol intake, managing stress by having quiet time, participating in meditation, prayer, reading, yoga, other relaxation techniques, all vital and essential. Reconnecting and bonding with family and friends, and expressing your feelings. Don't let it boil up. And if it starts to get to be too much, make and keep an appointment with your healthcare provider. If you need help, get it. Don't ignore it. It won't get better on its own. The arrival of spring and the uptake of the COVID-19 vaccine is good news for all of us. Cases of COVID-19 should start to decrease with greater administration of the COVID-19 vaccine. With the uptake of the vaccine and continued control measures in place, exposures will decrease. But please remember, people who are vaccinated can still be exposed and potentially expose others, even if they don't become ill. A continued focus on maintaining preventive measures is important to protect all of us. We will get past this virus. Vaccines will help us get there. We need to stay focused. While we've all stayed focused this year on reducing the risk of exposure and illness from COVID-19, we know that other diseases have continued to progress in the background. In fact, outside of a 2-week period early in the spring of 2020, heart disease remained the leading cause of death and disability across North America, even as the COVID-19 pandemic raged on. Canadians continued to die at unacceptably high rates from heart disease throughout the pandemic. We can't lose sight of that. While we fight the pandemic, we must not give up the fight on heart disease. Not only does heart disease continue to rage on during the pandemic, heart disease increases the risk of dying from COVID-19 infection. Heart disease patients are 10 times more likely to die of COVID-19 infection than the general public, even more than cancer patients or compromised immune patients. Keeping our hearts strong and healthy is important for fighting every severe illness, including COVID-19. There are a number of reasons why heart patients are affected more adversely by COVID-19 virus. One of the key reasons is this virus gets inside heart cells through a receptor present in abundance on heart cells called the angiotensin II receptor. Once this virus gets inside the heart cells, it injures the cell, leading to heart damage. People with heart disease have weaker hearts and less cardiac reserve to withstand the damage that this virus can do, increasing the risk of dying from COVID-19 exposure. Not only does the virus damage the heart directly, it's changed many of our behaviors. People have become so fearful that they've avoided emergency care for other illnesses, including heart attacks. We saw as much as a 40 to 45% decline in emergency room visits for heart attack care. Without proper health care and heart care, heart disease continued to progress in the background, unabated. But I want you to know, our hospitals and healthcare facilities have developed robust strategies to keep you safe from COVID-19 exposure if you need care for your heart or any other health emergency. Don't delay care for fear of the virus. Please remember, if you think you're having a heart attack or stroke, call 911. Go by ambulance to the nearest hospital. They'll keep you safe from exposure to COVID-19 and treat your medical emergency. So keeping our heart healthy is essential, both in pandemic times and as we get past this healthcare emergency. We all know that heart disease is common in Canada and increases with age. But heart disease did not develop the day someone was diagnosed or developed symptoms from their heart. Heart disease takes years, in fact decades, to develop and progress to the point that it can be detected. We can't wait for damage to occur. The time to act to prevent heart disease progression is now. We are all at risk for heart disease. We all must take personal responsibility to keep our hearts healthy and strong. But this is not a gloom and doom session. I'm here to tell you we live in an incredible age of hope. We have the potential to essentially cure or prevent heart disease. We need to be empowered to do so. So let's talk about that. Why do I think we live in the age of the cure for heart disease when more and more Canadians are being diagnosed with heart disease? It's because even though the total number of people living with heart disease continues to go up steadily, the risk of dying from heart disease continues to decline. We have a ways to go, but we're making incredible progress. One example of that success is the risk of dying after a heart attack. Just since the 1970s, we've cut the risk of dying from a heart attack from nearly 40% down to less than 10%. And that decline continues with prompt diagnosis and effective therapy. So again, if you suspect you're having a heart attack, call 911. Go to the ER promptly. We have the treatments to protect your heart, stop the damage. Every minute of delay damages your heart. The sooner treatment for a heart attack is delivered, the less damage occurs. Time delayed is heart muscle lost, as we say in the ER. Despite our success at treating heart disease, however, this scourge remains the leading cause of death and disability worldwide. We must have more effective strategies to prevent the disease in the first place, not just treat it after it happens. And I'm going to be talking to you about that now. Blockages take many years to develop. Stopping them from forming needs to be started early. Studies show people can start forming plaque inside their arteries as early as their teens and 20s. It can take decades for the plaque to gradually progress and be detected. But we can stop that process early, and in some cases, potentially even reverse some of it. But if we wait too long, the blockage will progress, it can rupture, a blood clot can form, a heart attack can happen, stroke, or loss of limb through gangrene. This is a picture of someone's artery where the plaque progressed, it ruptured open, and they developed a blood clot inside their heart's artery, triggering their heart attack. We must prevent this from happening. So what is this magical pill to prevent heart disease? There is no magical pill, but there are 5 essential things we need to do to reduce our risk of a heart attack. So let's spend a few minutes talking about each of those things and how controlling them can reduce the risk of you developing heart disease. We know that treating high blood pressure prevents heart disease from developing. Heart attacks, strokes, kidney failure can be reduced by as much as 40% by the treatment of hypertension or high blood pressure. Get your blood pressure checked, make sure it's treated and controlled effectively. High blood pressure is the silent killer. You literally have no idea you have high blood pressure until it damages your heart, your brain, or your kidneys. We need to treat it effectively, and we need to treat it early. Controlling cholesterol through diet, exercise, and medications also dramatically lowers the risk of heart attacks. In diabetics by almost 55 to 60%, in fact. Again, cholesterol is a silent killer. Get your cholesterol checked. Ask your healthcare provider, what is it? What should it be? What can I do to control it? And follow through on that. Controlling diabetes is also essential. In fact, studies show that diabetics who've never had a heart attack are at the same risk of having a heart attack as someone who just had a heart attack. That's right, a diabetic can be at the same risk as someone who just had a heart attack. Preventing diabetes or controlling its impact on heart health is a major focus of our research. And we now have exciting breakthroughs that can protect our heart, our brain, and the kidneys from the damage diabetes can do. Don't ignore your diabetes. Get it checked. Get it under control. Seek out help. We've all heard the message to quit smoking. Here are the facts. Quitting smoking is the most powerful way to reduce the risk of dying, period. There are very effective smoking cessation strategies to help people quit. Our own Cambridge Cardiac Care Centre has a dedicated program to help people quit smoking. Many other health teams have similar initiatives. Seek out help to quit. We are here to support you. And let's not forget about a healthy diet. A diet rich in fruits and vegetables and low-fat dairy can make an enormous difference to your blood pressure, your blood sugar, cholesterol, and maybe even your waistline. I don't believe in fad diets. Sensible choices that you can sustain are the key. We have vetted many reliable sources of dietary advice on our website, cambridgecardiaccare.com. Please seek out resources if this can help you. Unfortunately, many of us are eating a lot of packaged or canned food these days, both pre and during the pandemic. It is important, if we're going to eat these packaged or processed foods, that we get good at reading labels. There's a lot of information on the labels. It can get a bit confusing. For heart disease prevention, here are 4 things I want you to look at when you're looking at that label. First, what is the recommended serving size? If you eat more or less than the recommended size, you need to adjust how much you consumed of each component accordingly. Second, how much saturated fat or trans fat is there? There should be no trans fat. And keep the saturated fat under 1.5 grams per serving. Third, read the sugar component. Keep added sugar to less than 5 grams per serving. And fourth, keep sodium or salt under 200 milligrams per serving. Those are the 4 essential things I want you to look at when you're reading the labels. There are many ways we've learned that exercise can also help reduce the risk of heart disease. Suffice it to say, physical activity is an essential part of maintaining a healthy heart. Regular exercise reduces blood pressure, raises good cholesterol, improves blood sugar, and controls a host of other vascular changes that helps the heart stay strong. It is an essential component in our efforts to prevent heart disease. So how much do we need to exercise? At least 150 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic exercise every week, typically 30 to 45 minutes, 4 to 5 times per week. On top of that, try to add in 2 days of muscle strength training exercises per week to try to keep your muscles strong as you keep your heart strong. Staying physically fit has been challenging during the pandemic, however, with the closure of gyms and other places of recreation. But there are strategies we can deploy to maintain our fitness. For example, using the stairs is an extremely time-efficient way to maintain fitness. As little as 3 20-second brisk stair climbs per day can improve fitness in just 6 weeks. Internal stairs in homes or buildings also offer more stair climbing options and, in fact, strength exercises opportunities as well. Home-based strength exercises that utilize our own body weight, such as push-ups, sit-ups, planks, aim for at least a couple of body weight strength exercises per week, with each session involving 2 to 4 sets of 8 to 15 repetitions of each exercise. But please make sure you take 2 to 3 minutes of rest between sets. So when we do all of this that we've talked about, control our cholesterol, control our blood pressure, our diabetes, put efforts into avoiding nicotine exposure, follow an appropriate diet and exercise, regain control of our weight, we can potentially reduce the risk of dying from heart disease by nearly 90%. That is why I think we're living in the age of the cure for heart disease. It's not a super pill that will save us from heart disease, but rather our own personal efforts. We can do this. I know we can, and the science of heart disease prevention proves it. So here are our final few tips for your heart health. Fuel your body by eating a healthy, balanced diet and drink plenty of water. Aim to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep each night. Exercise every day if you can, but at least 5 days a week. Take a deep breath and stretch often. Avoid risky or destructive behaviors such as abusing alcohol, drugs, or ignoring public health recommendations. And spend some time outdoors now that the weather is getting better, such as going for a walk in the park, but follow social distancing guidance from public health. As we come to the end of my talk, I want you to know that I recognize it's been a rough year and it's taken a lot out of us. But now the season is changing, summer is coming, and there's hope in the air. Take advantage of this change. Start making the changes you need to make to keep your heart healthy and strong. Attending Healthy Heart Day is a great start, but what's more important is the next step, action. Here's what I want you to do right now. Practice doing what we talked about today. Don't wait an hour or two, or say you'll do it tomorrow. Today, right after the event, go for a walk. Right after, get up, go for a walk. After that, call a friend or a loved one, reconnect, de-stress. Tonight, try cooking a healthy meal rather than ordering in. The best way to get started is to just start. Don't wait until next month or when the time is right. Get started right now. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time? Now. We can all do this. We can all get healthy. We just need to stay motivated and passionate about our heart health and our community's health.
If someone suddenly collapses and doesn't respond when you touch or speak to them, if they aren't breathing or are making strange gasping sounds, they might be having a cardiac arrest. With 4 simple steps, you could help save a life. Don't hesitate. Every second counts. First, call 911 or ask someone to call for you. If there are people around, shout for someone to bring you a defibrillator AED. Then, to prevent contamination, lay a cloth, towel, or clothing over the person's mouth and nose to prevent any potential spread of viruses through contaminated air or saliva. Next, start CPR immediately. You can do this. Put one hand on top of your other hand and push hard and fast in the center of the chest. Push about 100 to 120 times per minute to the beat of Stayin' Alive. Keep your elbows locked and push hard. Keep going until someone else takes over. If someone brings you an AED, use it as soon as possible. It's easy. Turn it on and follow the voice prompts. Don't worry, the AED will tell you what to do and won't hurt you or the person. The 911 dispatcher can coach you through all of the steps. You can save someone's life using your phone, your hands, and an AED. After paramedics or first responders take over, wash or throw away the cloth used to cover the person's face. Then wash your hands thoroughly. Don't hesitate. You can't hurt, you can only help. heartandstroke.ca/CPR.
Boris Cherniak, aka Incredible Boris, is an award-winning comedian, hypnotist, hypnotherapist, motivational speaker, actor, and author. Boris motivates and inspires. He appears in upwards of 300 live performances a year with his comical point of view, while leaving a lasting impression and enlightening his audience. He is tasked to uplift us today, but also to inspire and motivate us to get back a sense of control through a focus and mindfulness. With great pleasure, Boris Cherniak.
Hello and welcome. I invite you to be seated. Get your body relaxed. Find a comfortable spot where you can listen to the sound of my voice. It can be a chair, a couch, or even a bed. If possible, make the sound fill the room, on a speaker, or simply listen intently to accept every positive suggestion I will give. If you find yourself drifting off, that is absolutely fine, as the positive suggestions will still be absorbed. Whenever this broadcast ends or is interrupted, the positive effects will last as long as you want them. You will always remain safe and in control. And in fact, you will have even more positive thoughts, energy, and confidence from this moment on, having listened to my voice. At the conclusion of this guided meditation, you will feel refreshed and re-energized, feeling positive and taking appropriate actions to stay happy, healthy, and stress-free. A healthy mind leads to a healthy heart and body. My name is Boris. I will be your host on a journey into the back of your mind, a journey of imagination, where by using hypnotic techniques, you will reach directly into your subconscious and control and eliminate stress and anxiety, all with a simple thought. Think of your mind as a computer that can be commanded to relieve stress and anxiety and be programmed to relax. In a moment, I will guide you through steps that will relax you. I will direct your attention away from the world around you inward, paying attention to your mind and body, and use hypnotic techniques to change your thoughts to be positive and productive. I will be providing separate suggestions to you, conscious and unconscious. You're aware of everything, and yet you're not aware. You're listening with your subconscious mind, while your conscious mind is far, far away and not listening. Your subconscious mind is awake, always listening, aware, and hearing everything, while your conscious mind remains very relaxed and peaceful. You can relax knowing your subconscious mind is taking charge. And when this happens, close your eyes and let your subconscious do all the listening. Your subconscious mind knows, and because your subconscious mind knows, your conscious mind does not need to know and can stay relaxed and not mind, while your subconscious mind stays aware. Your subconscious mind has so much potential. You can remember everything that has happened with your subconscious mind, but you cannot remember everything with your conscious mind. You can forget so easily, and with forgetting certain things, you can remember other things. Remember what you need to remember, and forgetting what you can forget. It does not matter if you forget, you need not remember. Your subconscious mind remembers everything that you need to know, and you can let your subconscious mind listen and remember while your conscious mind relaxes and forgets. Close your eyes and listen with your subconscious mind. And when you're listening very, very intently, take a deep breath in. As you continue to listen to me, with your subconscious mind, your conscious mind relaxes deeper and deeper, and deeper and deeper even more. Let your conscious mind stay relaxed while your subconscious mind listens and absorbs the positive suggestions. I will be using a simple phrase, let it sink in. This phrase will signify to your subconscious mind to absorb the suggestions given to you and soak them in, like a sponge. Let it sink in. Soon I will count backwards from 10 all the way down to number 1. And as the numbers go down, you will find yourself relaxing more and more. Let it sink in. Anytime you hear me mention the word relax, you will find yourself drifting off deeper and deeper into the realm of relaxation. Picture yourself, if you will, in an elevator in a 10-story building, or on top of a staircase with 10 steps leading down. As the elevator descends, or in your mind, you take a step down, you're going to find yourself drifting up deeper and deeper into the realm of relaxation. Each number represents the level of relaxation. Number 1 is the absolute and ultimate in relaxation. Once you reach it, all the suggestions given to you by me will be absorbed to improve your life. We are at the count of 10. Starting to descend. Make yourself comfortable. Clear your mind. Make it an absolute blank. Focus your mind on one idea. And this idea is relaxation. And let it sink in. Anytime you hear me mention the word relax, it is going to take you down more and more. Relax you even deeper. Relax every muscle in your body, starting with your forehead, your cheeks, your chin. Let your face droop, and as it does, you're drifting up deeper and deeper into the realm of relaxation. And let it sink in. Every suggestion given to you becomes an absolute and total reality. Let your mind and body link together as one and get very heavy and incredibly tired. Listen to the music. Let it flow through you like a wave of relaxation. Let it sink in. Every suggestion given to you by me will leave a lasting impression in your mind and replace any negative and unwanted thoughts that you may have. And we're going down, relaxing more and more. As your body is getting heavier, your eyelids are getting tired. We're reaching number 9. Take a deep breath and breathe out. Let it sink in. Each breath that you will take from now on will get you more and more relaxed. Each time you breathe out tension. Let it sink in. Anytime you hear me mention the word relax, you will find yourself drifting off and relaxing even more than you are right now. We're going down to number 8. Feel the relaxation setting in. It is moving down to your shoulders. And you will find that your body is very gently starting to tingle. Your eyelids feel like they weigh 1,000 tons. They feel like a big lead weight pushing down. And even if you try to keep your eyes open, they will not stay open. They will close all by themselves as you are relaxing even further. We're moving down to number 7. The relaxation is moving down even more, spreading through the upper part of your body, reaching your chest. It is absolutely impossible to keep your eyes open, relaxing more and more. Let it sink in. You're so incredibly relaxed. Each breath that you take relaxes you even more. And each time you breathe out tension. And we're going down to number 6. Number 1 is the absolute and ultimate in relaxation. It will take you to the ultimate depths of your mind, where time stands still and all the tension in your body has been completely removed. Take another breath and breathe out. And let it sink in. Each breath that you take gets you to relax even more. Each time you breathe out tension. We're the count of 5. Eyelids closed and very, very heavy. Relaxation is moving down towards your waist. You can feel it. The tips of your fingers are very gently tingling. Yet it is barely noticeable. We're going down to number 4. Each nerve, every muscle, and every fiber in your body is becoming loose and limp. The relaxation is starting to take over your whole body. Your thighs are very heavy. You're sinking into your place of rest. Body so heavy and tired, so incredibly relaxed. Nothing else matters. Nothing at all. Time stands still. We're the count of 3. Going down to number 2. There's no tension left in your body whatsoever. And the longer you listen to my voice, the more your mood improves. The better you feel about yourself. And the farther down we go, you are relaxing even further. You're feeling absolutely wonderful. And though your body is so incredibly heavy, your mind is floating on a cloud of relaxation, where all the tension is completely removed. Take another breath and breathe out. Let it sink in. Each breath that you take relaxes you more and more. And each time you breathe out tension. And we're finally reaching number 1. The absolute and ultimate in relaxation. You can feel the tension leaving you. The relaxation sets in through your whole body. Even the tips of your toes are incredibly loose and limp. And let it sink in. Relax even deeper. From now on, it does not make a difference whether you relax for a minute, an hour, or a whole night's sleep. From now on, when you are alert, you will feel incredibly refreshed, healthy, and happy. You will feel good about being you. Now, here are some important suggestions. Your mind is relaxed and will continue to be at ease. And anytime you find yourself tense and anxious in the future, take a moment. Take a deep breath, just like you did earlier, and relieve any stress or anxiety in your life instantly. This will translate into improved personal health and attitude of well-being. You will take pride in your accomplishments and always have a wonderful demeanor and outlook. I want you to relax even more, because the relaxation will only send positive vibes throughout your whole body. And I want you to imagine very easily and very simply that there's no weight in your right hand whatsoever. Close the fist of that right hand, because in that hand you, and imagine it very vividly, are holding a large helium balloon. It's actually a string attached to a large helium balloon. Pick a color for that balloon. It could be orange, yellow, blue, even purple. You are feeling absolutely wonderful, but there's no weight in your hand. And as the balloon is pulling and tugging your hand up towards the ceiling, you'll find your hand rising towards the ceiling all by itself. Now open that hand and let the balloon go. Just like you can open the hand and let go to all the anxiety and stress that could be guiding your life. It's all gone. And watch the balloon disappear into the distance. Farther and farther away until it's a tiny little dot that completely is gone right now. And we are at the count of 1. Starting to move back up. You will be back to your regular and better self shortly. You will feel relaxed and re-energized at the count of 10. As you drift back and become more and more aware of your environment, we're at the count of 2 now. Feeling absolutely wonderful. But you won't be fully awake. Won't be fully aware until the count of 10. By the count of 2, moving now to number 3. Slowly 4, 5, 6. Becoming more and more aware of your surroundings. 7. Feeling fantastic. 8, 9. At the count of 10, you will feel refreshed, re-energized, feeling wonderful and positive with a smile on your face. By the count of 9 and finally reaching number 10. I hope that smile is painted all over your face. Hope you enjoyed this guided meditation. My name is Boris.
I'm feeling so much more motivated and positive about moving forward with the changes I need to make. Aren't you? Have you written down any SMART goals yet? Get that pen out, write down that goal, and make sure you implement it after this event. Let's keep that positivity going and bring Cindy Catton back for strength training and flexibility training. Please welcome back our wellness coach for this event, Cindy Catton.
Welcome back. I'm here to do some strength training with you. Again, it's Cindy Catton. We're here with Healthy Heart Day, and I encourage you to get off the couch, out of the kitchen table, whatever works for you, and help me exercise today. Good. I need you to start with a little bit of march because you might have cooled down from our first workout. So we're gonna warm up a little bit. Good. Moving. Hang on to the couch, hang on to the counter, back of the chair. I have my chair with me now, so if you need something to hang on to, I encourage it. Remember, this is our base activity, so if you always want to come back to the marching, that's good. I'm happy. Good. We're going to move the arms a little bit. Good. Inhale. Exhale, bring those arms down. Good. Again, inhale. And exhale. Good. Shoulder roll. Keep that body moving a little bit. Good. We want to get the blood pumping again. We want to get the muscles ready to work. That's it. Okay, we're going to start warming up that upper body. Yes, I know everyone loves arm circles. Works the shoulders, doesn't it? Do you feel it already? Good, a little bit bigger. Nice and strong. Excellent. Good, okay, move the other way. Little bit backwards. Good, and bigger. Yes, get those arms moving. Good, make sure you feel comfortable. Make sure you're breathing. Listen, you don't have to have running shoes on. You can do this in your socks as long as you got a nice, stable surface underneath you. Good, shoulder roll. That's it. Okay, we already did some squats today, nice and strong through the abdominals, but I want to teach you proper position. Weight through the heels, abs are in nice and strong. Sink your bum down. Good. And let's do a couple of these. Yes, I like it. Keep the toes loose. Sink through your bum. If you need some support, get the chair behind you. The couch is fine too, whatever you're comfortable with. That's it, nice and strong. That's it, a few more. Keep those abdominals in and keep breathing. Hold here, yes. Sink back. We're really working the glutes. We're really working the hamstrings and the quads. All the muscles in the lower legs are really getting warmed up. Get those arms up, yes, and pulse. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You did it. Back to that march. Good, breathe. Exhale, feeling strong, feeling good. I need to teach you the next exercise. This is your lunge. Remember we talked about this in the first workout? 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, hip width apart. So basically you step that foot back into the lunge position. Make sure your heel's up, here. And lunge down, 90 degrees, 90 degrees. I'm still strong through the abs. You've got this. Here we go. Lunge position, up and down, nice and strong. If you can go as low, it's okay. Do what's comfortable for you. Make sure the weight's through the heel, the knee is over the ankle, right? Tall, feeling good, feeling strong, no arms. You can hang on for balance if you need to. I like it. Good job, team. Keep working. There we go. Last one. Other leg. We want our muscles to be balanced. Good. Lunge down, 90 degrees. Knee over ankle. Tall and strong. Here we go. Good work. Stay with me. How are you guys feeling? I can't hear you. I know you're good. I know you're strong. Good. Smile with me. Keep breathing. We've got a couple more to do. There we go. Yes. And last one. Perfect. Shake out those legs a little bit. Good. Roll the shoulders, shake out the arms. Hang on to the counter and breathe. You want to be nice and strong. Now, if you have water bottles at home, if you have cans of soup, cans of beans, whatever you can hang on to, I want you to use those for the next couple of exercises. Here's my water bottles. I want to show you proper exercises for bicep curls and triceps. A little bend in the knee. Abs are nice and strong. Lift your weights all the way up to the shoulders. That's it. You got it? Warming up the arms a little bit. We're going to work through a couple of different exercises. That's it. Nice. Abs are strong. Weight is still through the heels. Give those toes a little bit of movement. Good. That's your bicep curl. Good. Relax the arms, shoulder roll. Now, tip forward a little bit for the next one. Knees are still bent. Weight is through the heels. Abs are nice and strong. We're just getting into a bit of that squat position like we talked about before. Now, tuck your elbows nice and close to your body. This is your tricep extension, back of the arms. You know why this muscle is so important? Because sometimes we need it to get out of the car. We need it to get off the commode, right? We need these arm exercises for all those daily activities. You don't think about it, but opening up the fridge, you need some arm strength. You need some shoulder strength. That's it. Looking good, team. Awesome. Okay, now if you want to keep your weights in your hands, you can, or you can drop them to the floor. The next exercise is a calf raise. We want to make sure those lower muscles in our legs are nice and strong for walking, going up and down stairs. This is so important, right? So, up on the toes, back down, up on the toes. Lift the heels off the ground. Stay nice and strong. Keep working with me. Good. I like it. Now the other muscle we need to work is the front of the leg, anterior tibialis. That muscle helps you lift your toes over the sidewalk, over the curbs, right? We never know when those bumps are gonna come up. Lift the toes. Keep the abs nice and strong. We're still nice and tall. Do you need to hang on to the counter? That is okay. Back of the couch. You've got your chair close to you. So great. Good job, guys. You wanna make this more fun? Heels up, toes up, heels up, toes up. That's it. Good job. Okay, some of these exercises are gonna get a bit more complicated. If you don't like them, that's okay. If you wanna join me, I'm so happy that you're with me. I'm gonna move to my other weights. If you have some small hand weights at home, use these. If you don't, that's okay. We're moving into a squat position again. Squat down. Remember we talked about this one? Feet hip width apart. Abs are in, nice and strong. We're adding in the bicep curls. Yes! Come on, team. Work with me. Nice and strong. Push that bum back. Lift those hands up to the shoulders. Work the biceps. Yes. You can do one arm at a time. You don't need to do both. You can hang onto the counter, the back of the couch, whatever's gonna work for you. Try something with me today. You got it. Good. Okay, we're gonna shift again. This time we're moving into that wide squat. Remember we did that before in our cardio? We're gonna go a little bit wider here with the legs. Toes are pointing out, but line up those knees with the toes when you squat down. Good, we're holding our weights. Resistance is so important to creating nice big muscles, strong muscles, right? If this is too much for you, that's okay. Drop one weight down. We're gonna lift. Yes. See how we shifted there? Right into the next exercise. You guys can do these at home. With your cans, your water bottles. Pick up your cat. I love it. You guys are looking so great. Please join me. Keep moving. So important. Keep those muscles strong, right? You want to stay home longer, drive longer, play with the grandkids longer. I know Everyone wants to be active, healthy, looking good. Last one. Are your arms tired? Amazing. Good job, team. Okay, move into that march. If you need a little extra time to cool down, this is okay. We're gonna do some back exercises. Shift yourself into that tipped forward position, just like we did with our triceps. Here, tip forward, bum back, abs tight. Here, we start at our rib position and lengthen out our arms and lift back up. Squeeze those back exercises, back muscles. Squeeze, squeeze, elbows back. Abs are strong, right? It's okay if your muscles are shaking. They're working. Good job. Keep going. Arms are strong, abs are strong, legs are strong. Weight through the heels. That's it. Do 2 more. Good job. Little shoulder roll. Bend forward again. Little bend in the knee. Bring the arms out front. Open. Yes. Upper shoulders. You know, we want to be able to lift the heavy bowls and plates from our cupboards, right? We want to be able to pick up our grandkids. Keep going. Open up those arms. Stay strong. You've got this. A few more. Good job. We're almost there. Yes. Okay, let's do 1 more. Yes. Good job. Again, move into that march. Breathe. Inhale, exhale. Stay with me a few more minutes. Good. We're moving back into the lunge position, right? 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. Your feet are hip width apart. The abs are in nice and strong. Get those shoulders down and back. Perfect posture. Hang on to the weights here. We're gonna try a few lunges to get back into that position. Good. Now we're gonna add in some shoulders. Bend here. Lift. Elbows come up high. Yes. Shoulders and back. Abs are strong. I love it. Hey, one arm's okay. You need the other arm to hang on to the counter? That's great. You can always switch sides the next time. Looking good, team. Hang in there. Yes. You're almost there. 1 more. Good. Switch legs. 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. Hip width apart. Abs are in strong. Now we're going overhead. Press up. Press up. Try and get low with those legs. We want to be able to walk stairs, in and out of the car. These muscles are so important for moving, staying strong, maintaining that muscle. You got it. Push through. Push through. Can you do 2 more? I know you can. Yes. Good job. Shake it out. Drop those weights. Open one of your bottles of water if you need to. Good. Shoulder roll. Shake it out. Shake it out. I have my chair here today to do some exercises. The back of the couch will work. The counter will work. A set of stairs will work. What you're gonna do is gonna help me do some push-ups. You can do these on the floor too. I just wanna give you some variations and some options when you are doing your exercises for home, for different intensities, right? Start in this long plank position. Now, if you're on the counter, your hands might be up a bit higher, but you're still working the core, you're still working the upper body. Hands here, nice and strong. Make sure your couch is secure, your chair is up against the wall, so you can get some movement here. Push up, come down, press up and through. That's it. My body is long, my body is straight. I want to work through those muscles in the chest, the upper body, and the shoulders. I feel strong, I feel good. Remember, off the counter, keep those eyes up. We don't want to look in the sink. That's it. Do 3 more, team. Abs are strong. Keep working. Last one. I love it. Shake out those arms. You guys are doing so great. Good. Okay, we are still going to use the chair, the counter, or the back of the couch. Whatever is good for you today, we're going to do some plank movements. So plank, we're focusing on the abdominals. Just like in this push-up position, we've got all the midsection activated as well as our shoulders, chest, and back. Arms are working. Our brain has to work to keep all these things going at the same time. If you're on the counter, your hands can be out straight. You can also be in this position if this is more comfortable for you, with your forearms on the counter. Okay, team? Here we go. Plank position. Keep holding. Keep holding, stay strong. Everything's working through the core. Everything's working, all of our muscles. We can do this. You can stay here, keep going. Now, intensity, right? Bring the knee in. Yes, toward the chest, toward the elbow. Whatever is gonna work for you. Strong, lift that knee in. Keep working, keep going. Here we go. 6 more, yes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're not done. No, stay with me. Here we go. Side step, together. Side step, together. Yes, a little bit more movement. Making those abdominals work. The low back has to work. Everything has to stay strong while you're still doing this. I love it. Good work. We're almost done. How you feeling? Good. Awesome. Step through. Shake it out. Shoulder roll. Good. Just a little march. I want you to inhale. Take those arms up. Good. Exhale. Take those arms down. Good again. Inhale. And exhale. Oh, I feel awesome. How about you guys at home? Yes. Okay, we need to do some stretching. Quad stretch. Now, I'm gonna hang on to my shoelaces, but if you can't, you can put your foot on the side of the couch. You can put your foot on the chair that you were just using. Otherwise, you really wanna get a nice stretch through the upper thigh, into the hip flexors. Hang on to those shoelaces. Good. Now, we're shortening the stretches here a little bit today. Of course, if you need more time at home, take 20 or 30 seconds to do those stretches. Again, the other side. You can hang on to the counter if you need to. Hang on to the chair. Hold on to those shoelaces or put the top of your foot onto the chair to give you support. Nice and strong, nice and tall. Posture. Get those shoulders down and back. Good, chin high. Smile. I love it. You guys are looking so great. Good. A little bit more balance. Also so important. Lift the knee to the chest. Good. Give me a little ankle circle. Get some mobility through there. Good. Stretching out the hamstrings a little bit. Glutes. Other side. Balance. Hang on to the counter if you need to. Hang on to the chair. That's okay. Good. Circle. So great, guys. Love it. Looking good. Okay. Take those legs nice and wide. Into that side lunge position. Remember, we stretch out that inner thigh? Get that arm up and over, a nice long stretch. Make sure that front knee is only over the ankle and the toes, not past. Good. And the other side. I love it. Good. Abdominals are stretching. Upper back. Yes, legs. Good. Back to center. Okay. You guys know tree pose in yoga, right? Get those arms up. When you take one foot off the ground. You can touch the foot to the ankle. You can bring the foot up to the calf muscles, and you can turn the foot out to the side. Good. Awesome. Balance. Abs are strong. Switch sides. Take those hands up again. Reset your posture. Take your foot off the ground. Touch it to the side of your leg. You can keep one toe on the ground if you need to. Good. Bring that leg up. It doesn't have to be out to the side. You can keep that foot in close. Leg in close. Yes. Good. And breathe. Oh, I feel so good. Good. Back to that side lunge. Good. Shoulders at the same time. Stretch open and off. Yep. Good. Move to the center and shift to the other side. Reach that arm across. Good. Back to center. Tip forward. A little stretch through the hamstring and the glutes. Good. And back up. Shoulder roll. Chest stretch again. Take those hands behind you. Open up the chest. Good. If this isn't working for you, you've got really tight shoulders or some other injury there, take your hand to the side of the counter, side of the chair, so you can open up a bit of the chest, bit of the shoulder. Good. And move to the other side. So you're opening up that shoulder, taking those hands as far back as you can, whatever's comfortable for you today. Good. Step one foot forward. Lean into those toes. If you can't touch, it's okay. Touch the leg, top of the leg, under the knee if you need to. Feel the stretch to the back of the leg. Good. Step the other foot forward. Toes come up, reach down. Touch the toes if you can. Balance if you need to. And hang on. Yes, feel that stretch to the back of the leg. Good job. Okay, inhale, reach up. Exhale. Good again. Inhale, reach up. Reach for the sky. You guys got this. Good, back down. Last time. Reach. And you're all done for today. Thanks again for joining me. Happy Healthy Heart Day. I hope everyone enjoys their day. Thank you.
The medical community is alarmed at the devastating impact of the pandemic. Too afraid to seek urgent care, people with heart conditions or stroke are suffering at home, risking irreversible harm. This is causing complications not seen for decades. Hospitals have taken extra precautions, so don't hesitate to seek care or to call 911 if someone has signs of heart attack, stroke, or cardiac arrest. Do not let COVID-19 destroy more lives. Learn more at heartandstroke.ca.
Incredible day. So much positivity to help us get past this gloomy year and refocus our efforts to stay healthy and engaged. Of course, we wouldn't be able to put any of this together without the dedicated members of the Healthy Heart Day Committee. As most of you know, year after year, my wife, Shekhar Pandey, makes tireless efforts to put this event together as a tribute to the memory of her mother and her commitment to help build a better community, a healthier community, and to empower people to make the changes to stay heart healthy. Michelle is an accomplished former ICU pharmacist that has worked her whole life in the advancement of heart health. As a researcher, she has led her team to excellence in cardiovascular research, participating in many of the foundational landmark trials that are now the benchmark of heart disease management. As the office manager of Cambridge Cardiac Care, she leads an incredible team of diverse healthcare providers dedicated to the advancement of heart disease prevention and therapy in our region. She brings that same passion and commitment to this annual event, now in its 17th year. The planning for the next year's Healthy Heart Day starts within a few weeks of the end of the last year. Numerous meetings to determine the theme for the next year, identifying and securing the exceptional speakers that have been a hallmark of this event, securing the resources to ensure this event remains viable, ensuring media partners are established to get the word out, developing the actual format of the event, getting the posters and billboards made and up in place to get the word out, and developing a robust virtual and social media campaign, and of course, actually putting the event together and have it run smoothly year after year. To say this is a labor of love for Michelle is an understatement. Michelle is a powerhouse that puts all of her heart and time into ensuring this event comes together. I'm amazed by her energy and enthusiasm every year. She keeps us going and on track to deliver this event to you. We wouldn't be able to put any of this together without the dedicated members of the Healthy Heart Day Committee. That includes members of our own Prevent Clinic Board of Directors and its chair, Dr. Mike Lowry. He is the former Chief of Staff at Cambridge Memorial Hospital, the Compliance Supervisor at the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Ontario. Dr. Lowry brings his many decades of experience in health, as well as expertise in management and oversight to ensure that this event remains up to date and relevant each year. Thank you, Mike, for all your efforts and your leadership. Serving as our patient community representative, we are indebted to Kesh Dissanayake, whose passion for outreach and advocacy has been so inspiring. She also leads our social media campaign and develops the community partnerships essential for the success of this event. Thank you so much for your dedication, Kesh. This event would not be possible without the generous donation of funds and in-kind donations from our sponsors. We need to recognize them. Cambridge Cardiac Care sponsors this event year after year with the partnership of Cambridge Cardiac Rehab, and its staff are essential to the success of this event. It takes a village to put an event like this together, and these are the leaders of our village, the Healthy Heart Day Committee, leaders in healthcare, business, advocacy, and community affairs. They volunteer their time, their expertise, and it is only through their commitment that an event like this can continue successfully now into its 17th year. Our media sponsors are essential to help get the word out to you, the public. I am heartened that these media sponsors make it a priority to help promote heart health in our region and beyond. With their support, I believe we are building a healthier community and empowering people to be strong, vibrant, and heart healthy. Of course, an event like this with its exceptional speakers and community engagement requires a lot of resources to put together each year. We are thankful to these healthcare corporations who have generously supported this event year after year. Their commitment to heart health promotion is exemplary. Together, they help us help you. And together, we build a healthier community for all of us. This is a community event and relies on our community for its ongoing success. I am very grateful to the City of Cambridge for its ongoing support of this event. The leadership of the Mayor and of City Council, as well as the staff of the City of Cambridge, are essential to the ongoing viability of this event year after year. Thank you. Our local partners also includes Langs Community Health Centre, who has been an active partner in these events for many, many years. Thank you. The newly formed Cambridge North Dumfries Health Team immediately came on board when we asked them to help sponsor and promote this event. Thank you. You are helping us build a healthier community. Amanda Knapp at RBC Wealth Management is another community leader who has always come forward when asked to help to put this event together and to help promote the heart health of our community. Thank you, Amanda. This event raises much needed dollars for the Heart and Stroke Foundation of Canada, and we thank Heart and Stroke for their partnership and for all that they do each day to improve the heart health of Canadians. Thank you for your leadership and your dedication. I must thank the incredible staff of Cambridge Cardiac Care Centre, whose sole mission is to ensure the heart health of our community. I am so fortunate and so proud to work with such talented and dedicated people who are always prepared to go above and beyond what is asked of them to ensure the success of this event. Thank you so much for who you are and what you bring to this event and to our community. To my beautiful and talented wife, Michelle, and the force behind Healthy Heart Day, who works behind the scenes but never far from the action, ensuring everything runs smoothly. This event is dedicated to the memory of our beloved Grandma Linda, who we lost to the ravages of diabetes and heart disease far too early, and whose passion for the well-being of others remains a driving force behind this event. Please indulge me and let me tell you briefly about this incredible woman who was a nurse in GTA and who dedicated her life to the service of her community. She worked tirelessly for her family, friends, and her community, sometimes to the detriment of her own health. I was privileged to know her for a few short years, and her commitment and drive inspires me to this day. Grandma Linda, we love you, we miss you, and your memory will continue to guide us through these troubled times. Finally, you, the participants of this event, for staying with us, for giving us your time and your willingness to make it a priority to improve the heart health of our community. It is for you that we put this event together each year, and it is you who inspires us to make it better each year. I hope we live up to your needs and expectations. Please join me again next year for our 18th annual Healthy Heart Day. I promise it'll be even better. Until then, stay safe, stay well.